And we are live. Welcome in.
Welcome to Dynasty GOATs. I think is this the second episode now?
I'm calling it episode 1 because we weren't officially branded the
Oh, I
first
thought
time.
we were branded last episode.
We didn't have the thumbnail, so this time we do. This is
Okay.
episode 1, baby.
Okay. So episode 1 of Dynasty GOATs, and what a perfect guest to have on for the first episode of this. JoeyBradley here. So Joey was just watching one of our streams randomly, a few weeks back. And, I guess he was enjoying it. He asked us, like, hey, how do I get in a league with one of you guys? And I ended up messaging him on Sleeper. And I had an orphan team in a league that he took over. And we started making a ton of deals in that. And then you also just took over another orphan in a different league. But yeah, you've quickly become, Joey, like one of my all-time favorite trade partners. I mean, we've just been making deals left and right here. So yeah, you've just been an absolute pleasure to negotiate with. It's great having you on here. And I love how you went from just being someone who randomly discovered us and you were in the live chat on a stream and here you are on it. So welcome to Dynasty GOATs.
Hey, thanks for having me, you guys. It's an absolute pleasure, and definitely turning into a bit of a dynasty sicko. I'm pretty new to the game, and I can honestly say that it's been like a real blessing to have stumbled upon your channel, because it was kind of unique, just like finding it. I definitely scour YouTube looking for dynasty content, and I just can't get enough of dynasty right now. And I enjoy every single conversation you guys have about Dynasty.
Awesome.
There's a lot of data, and I work in data. That's part of my job, and so one of the things that really drew me to you guys was that I could tell you guys were friends and that you were interested in just having fun conversations about Dynasty. You really like talking about trades. That's probably my favorite part of Dynasty. And you can always have a conversation about rankings. You can always have a conversation about data. But I think some of my favorite things to talk about are breaking down trades, kind of taking a step back, talking about strategies, some bird's eye view strategies maybe, and just why is Dynasty so much fun. And that's really kind of what you guys really hit on a lot. And so, I just want to say, I love you guys' content, and immediately was drawn to it, and really happy to be here, you guys. So let's
really appreciate the kind words. And we're such a small channel too. Like, it's awesome that to hear that from you. And I do think that describes us perfectly. We can get in the nitty gritty about certain things, but we also really take a look at the bigger picture. Things aren't so black and white, I guess, in Dynasty is a good way to put it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, you're so right. Yeah, thank you for those beautiful words. That's amazing to hear. Yeah, especially just having such a following as small as we have. But it's been a ton of fun. We love connecting with our different league mates recently. That's been such a blast. And yeah, I think we love the strategy of it. I mean, Blake and I could just talk about that for hours. We love the art and the science of the trade negotiation. There's so many nuances of that. I think psychology comes into play a lot. Blake and I are constantly talking about things from that perspective. Yeah. But yeah, there's so many other things. You were bringing up economics. Dynasty in a lot of ways is economics. I mean, there's so many different parallels and analogies that you could use for Dynasty. But I think it combines so many different things that I love, including football, of course. Obviously.
Yeah, yes.
But yeah, I agree with you when we were talking about data. That gets kind of boring for me. If it's just all about the numbers and everything. And I watch a lot of YouTube content about Dynasty as well. And if it's a video that's just purely about the numbers, I can't watch it. I get too bored. I need story. I need narrative. I need strategy. I need just a deeper interest in just, oh, well, this is what the numbers say. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And most importantly, I think Dynasty is just supposed to be fun. So I'm so glad that you appreciate all those aspects of it as much as we do. So yeah, thank you for those words.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the numbers never do tell the full story either.
Oh
And
yeah,
oftentimes, for one reason or another, our our perceptions tell us one thing, and our perceptions can be wrong all the time. We have biases, right?
Oh yeah.
And they can lead us astray, no doubt. But then sometimes we have very strong hunches, and
yeah.
anyways, there's like a million reasons to love Dynasty.
Oh,
Oh,
So
absolutely.
100%. And I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, you're talking about economics. It's very similar to trading on the stock market. It's very similar. There's a lot of psychology. Like that's what I studied in school. There's a lot
Hmm.
of that I like to bring to the table
Oh
as
yeah,
far as trade negotiations, stuff like that. And so it incorporates like so many different aspects of life or anything that people
yeah,
are interested in, and puts it all into one thing, which is also mainly connected to football, which we all of course love.
yeah.
Man, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and
And
also you. Oh, I'm sorry.
no,
Um,
you
I
go.
was just gonna say, Joey, you touched on like you have a hunch about something like that. Yeah, that really speaks to me because like I'm a big person on like intuition. I'm just such a huge believer in it, and honestly, like just talking about fantasy football in general, not just Dynasty, because like I've been playing fantasy football a lot longer than Dynasty. Like I started Dynasty in 2020, but I've been playing fantasy football since 2000. And the one thing that is consistently held true over those 25 years is that when I trust my intuition and go with my gut, like good things tend to happen. And when I go against that and I say, like, you know what, on paper, this guy's really good to start, this week, or this guy's the right guy to draft. When I go with my brain over my gut, it usually doesn't work out too well. So I think that's another reason why, like, yes, I think numbers are very important in Dynasty and in fantasy football, and they definitely have their place, their role. But like to me, like I'm going to trust my gut more than anything else because I do think there's a lot of science behind the power of intuition. Like, even if you don't know why you're feeling this way, there are reasons from your past experiences that all add up to tell you that, no, this is what you need to be doing. And I think that's right more often than it's not.
Yeah, and when you've been playing Dynasty for a long time or fantasy, history often repeats itself.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so many examples of that. But
Yeah.
that helps. Like if you've been around, like learn from your
Yeah.
mistakes and don't just whatever, just say it was I had the right process. At least reconsider. There's a lot there, and I'm sure Dan like that you've playing Dynasty or sorry fantasy so long,
Yeah.
20 plus years, like you've seen it all happen,
Yeah.
which helps build that like intuition that you can have.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's so many instances where it's like, you know what? Like this is eerily similar of this thing from like 15 years ago or just like whatever. So like, yeah, like that comes into play a lot. And I see a lot of things like repeat themselves. But how about you, Joey? Like how long have you just been playing like normal fantasy football for?
yeah, so I think roughly about 10 years of redraft.
Okay.
Uh, I've been in a family league with three generations
Okay.
of Bradley boys,
Oh, I love it.
including my son, who's my two of my sons now.
Yeah,
So it runs thick in the family, that's for sure. There's
I love
like
it.
six brothers. There's a lot of sibling rivalry. There's some bad blood,
Oh yeah.
it's
I love it. Yeah, you got like the family rivalries and banter and yeah,
it's
I
great.
love the way that just yeah, fantasy football in general, even a redraft league can just kind of like, bring the guys together like and it's the same thing for me like I mean that league that I've been yeah, I've been commissioner of this redraft league since 2000. It's still running strong and it's like a bunch of different, it's basically like my closest like family members and my closest friends, high school buddies, like stuff like that. And yeah, it's just so much fun. It like definitely like helps us all keep connected. And, it's just something that like, even just within the family that like me and my dad and my brother can like all bond over, even like my uncles in it. So yeah, I just love that family aspect of it. And I think that's so cool now that you said, do you have both sons playing fantasy now?
Yep, yep, yep. The two
Yeah.
boys that are of age are in it, and And so, yeah, on Sunday, like you said, exactly what you've said. I kind of like compare it to it's like a board game that never ends.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's just a constant board game that keeps us together at least once a week during football season.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I'm actually kind of thinking in the future if I can convince my dad to maybe consider my oldest son wants to be in a dynasty league. He's begging.
Oh.
Okay.
Um, and so I'm kind of in a tough spot, right? Because like I really want it. I want to help him get into a dynasty league, but
Yeah.
I'm also selfishly just kind of like wanting this to be about me right now because I don't
Okay.
have a lot of things that are just for me in my life,
Right.
being
Right.
a dad of four and
Oh
being
yeah.
married. And so,
Yeah.
maybe in the future, but the redraft league has been really special for the family and it's gotten to the point where I've learned to kind of take a step back and really help some other people in the family like learn to draft and stuff,
Mm.
which has been kind of like taking a little bit of the fun out of it for me, right? Because like now I'm telling like three other people in the league to draft my people,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Oh, I
like
know. I
it's kind
know.
of like it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's
Yeah.
like it's such a competitive endeavor. It's like
Right.
I'm there to like get my competitive juices going. Like if I'm
Yeah.
being honest, like
Right.
it's just like and now you're gonna see how competitive I am, and that's not the best part of my personality, right? But I'll be honest, okay? We're here for honesty, so this
Oh,
is me, right?
100%.
Like
Yeah.
totally, this is me. So like I grew up playing poker, okay, with my dad and my
Mm.
brothers, and so like when we would play poker, like we followed them rules, okay? Like it was not like a kid's atmosphere where, even though we were kids, where like like you let the youngest guy cheat or whatever at the table, just keep everybody happy. No, it was like we played straight up poker from the time we were 6 and 7 years old. So like
Mhm.
that's just hardwired into my brain,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So so anyways, that's bled over into like the way that I would like to play fantasy, even with my
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I can totally relate to that. Like I'm super competitive as well. And yeah, we were talking a little bit before the stream, and you mentioned that like you're kind of the type that like you wear your heart on your sleeve a bit, and you can sometimes be a bit impulsive. And yeah, I definitely think we're similar in a lot of ways, and I think that's why we've been able to connect so well, and also just like effortlessly make like so many trades. So yeah, I would love to dive into some of those. Would now be a good time for that, or is there any more conversation we wanted to have with Joey here? Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe kind of segueing into that, like, yeah, I mean, Joey, like, how has it been like getting into Dynasty? I mean, like, when did you like officially start? Because you're in 3 leagues now, right?
Yeah, I think I'm in three leagues now, three dynasty leagues.
Yeah.
One was a startup last year. That was my first experience, and it
Okay.
was totally. I was invited by a person whom I had been in their redraft league for about 5 years. A
Okay.
very competitive redraft league. Became like a pretty expensive one, and they asked me just kind of knowing that I had always been a very active, always like the most transactions, that kind of guy,
Yeah.
Oh, dude, we're so
scouring the
That's
similar.
all
waiver
of
wire.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
One
hilarious.
guy
Yeah.
come one year there was an owner who pointed out, he goes, come on, JoeyBradley over here with 110 transactions. Can we just put a cap on the transactions? Anyways, he
Oh.
got roasted in the
Yeah.
chat and then quit. And
Oh.
the owner, not the owner, but the commissioner, he defended me. He's like, man, that's what fantasy's about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But anyways, I have a reputation as being that guy who's like making transactions at 2 in the morning on
Oh my
Tuesday
God.
Yeah.
because I'm sick, like I'm honestly sick. Like,
You're with the right group of people here. I mean, we've all been there.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think Joey is like officially my spirit animal here. Like, I mean, like I mean, it's like you're describing me right now. I mean,
Mhm.
like talk to like anyone in like any of my leagues that I've, been in with for like, a year or more. And like, I get ripped on so many times for like how many different transactions I make. I mean, it's just like a running joke, but like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's kind of like I can be impulsive at times or just kind of like fickle of like, you know what? that guy I dropped, I kind of want him back. And so like I ended up like drafting and adding like the same player like 3, 4, 5 times in a season. It's just kind of silly. But also at the same time, like my philosophy is that like the NFL is this like constantly changing and evolving thing. Like every day there's like new news that comes out and like things change and like you have all these moving variables. So like as the information changes, so too does which players I want to roster. So, and I'm always just looking for that edge because, like, yeah, being competitive like you, like, I'm looking for that, like, edge of, like, the bottom guy in my roster. I mean, I'm looking for that edge anywhere I can get it. So I can so relate to what you're saying here.
And you'll notice, during the summer here, there'll be a new transaction, every night from Dan in your leagues.
Not every night.
Kenny McIntosh in, Jeremy Ruckert in and out, in and out. It's it's become an ongoing joke. It's it's a good time, and I mean, I remember like especially when you're just in like 1 or 2 redraft leagues, like one of my earliest ones. My buddy Trent can attest to this. It's like 2 a.m. And I'm just sitting there and I'm waiting and I'm like picking up my defense because I'm not wasting my waiver claim on like the rolling waivers for it and all that. And it's the same thing. I look at the transactions, it's like 100 plus. You look at other people in the league, it's like 12. Yeah. So, anyways,
I mean, it also just speaks to like being active. Like, even if you're not like particularly fickle or impulsive, but you're just an active manager, you're naturally going to just have more transactions than that guy that's like takes the off season off and then shows up for the rookie draft. And you know what I mean? Like, so it's just kind of a natural outcome too. If you're like passionate about this and you follow the news each day, like you're naturally going to want to like take advantage of those changing variables and like, hey, and now I want to pick this guy up because he's become more interested now with this news that came out.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it is, I know the potential for a Puka Nacua pickup in week 1 is always there because I did that. I picked him up in 2 leagues and I only played in 3 leagues at the time.
Awesome. And
you're telling me that that's potentially, that dopamine hit is potentially there for me on Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Like that's amazing. That's amazing entertainment value for free.
Oh,
that's the dopamine hit that never ends.
That's right. Yeah.
Give you a little
that's right.
Polite golf clap here. I love what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, my God, like I just can so relate, and I love that rush of like getting that player off waivers that you have a good feeling about. Like, I mean, I got like a bunch of Cedric Tillman like right when like Amari Cooper was traded last year, and like I even like put a few bucks on him just to kind of like make sure I got him. In fact, I mean, in one league where like it was like a $300 fab budget, I mean, I think I put like 50 some bucks on Cedric Tillman. And then, I'm sure I was up at like, 3, 4 in the morning to like, see if it went through. And of course it's like 0 bids, but I put like 57 on him. And it's like, what the heck? Like, am I the only one that likes Cedric Tillman and thinks that like his stock is up with Amari Cooper traded? And obviously that played out pretty nicely, but I love the dopamine rush of, getting that guy and seeing how he pans out. It's just, great entertainment value. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. And by the way, oh, sorry. I was gonna say. By the way, we have Reed Duncan. Is that Randy Duncan? Is that or R Duncan from?
No.
R Duncan from your league.
He's in the Galaxy. Wait, what's the name of the league again?
Yeah, because I saw an R Duncan in there, but that's not Randy though. That's a different.
No, that's not Randy.
No,
okay, So the league is Guardians of the Dynasty.
Okay.
So this is a league that I just joined a few weeks ago that Randy is the commissioner of. And then this is the second orphan that I got Joey to take over. And this orphan was pretty rough. Like we had like at least like 3 or 4 people like come in, so and so just joined the league, and then 2 minutes later, so and so has left the league. Yeah. And so we were having trouble filling it. Part of the reason is that like a couple of the best players were like buried on like the IR and taxi, so people didn't even like get that far down.
Yeah.
So, like I gave the lineup a bit of a makeover. I even ended up like donating Wan'Dale Robinson, just trying to give this team something like halfway decent on the bench. And but I had a feeling Joey, wouldn't be like too picky. And Joey, like you strike me as the kind of person that like would embrace a challenge. How can I turn this kind of cruddy roster into something respectable? So I figured, like Joey's the perfect man to take over this team. And I have no doubt that like he's going to turn it into something decent. And I think he's doing a good job with it already. But yeah, it's, you really saved us in this league though. But yeah, our Duncan, he is a member of this league. So yeah, welcome to the channel. Thanks so much for tuning in here.
Yeah, so I got it pulled up now, by the way, and we're looking at Joey's team here. So okay, I just want to look through his picks. So yeah, you're loaded up on picks. Well, I guess we'll see how you. Oh yeah, you're even good dipping into 27, which I love. So we'll take a look, I guess, at the deals, which I'm sure there's probably quite a few.
Oh yeah.
Should we backtrack here?
Yeah. Do we want to start with the King of the Hill League since that's like the first orphan that Joey took over, or should we just stick with this since we're talking about it?
Just because Reed Duncan was in here, I figured we probably just start here.
Yeah, let's do that. Since he's in here, he'll probably Duncan. Yeah, will probably be a lot more interested in us talking about Guardians of the Dynasty. So yeah, let's start here.
Okay, so where does it begin here?
It was just a few days ago.
Oh, just a few. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's see here. I'll try to find.
I've seen a lot in the last 2-3.
Oh, dude! Like ever since Joey came in, like this was again like just like King of the Hill. This is one of like the deadest leagues I was in, and as soon as Joey comes in, same story with King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Like the league activity has just been like on fire the past few days. So like, yeah, I mean, like honestly, Joey, like you're just one of the best people to, like bring into a league if it's like not active. You're just like instant energy. Mm-hmm. So I love it.
Well, this is one of the things I wanted to say was that I think that I can't speak for other leagues, but I took notice to you making that comment to me that like, hey, these leagues aren't very, very active.
Yeah.
But me and you were able to make a lot of deals, and I've noticed that it creates like a momentum. It creates like a stir, and then other managers in the league, I think their phones start buzzing, and they're like, I could make some deal. I need to make some deals too, and these two owners here, they're making reasonable deals with each other. Like, I'm not seeing anything crazy. Maybe I can get something done, And
right.
I just think it kind of like, it's a great way to kind of stimulate the league,
Oh yeah.
It really energizes the league, and yeah, you're right. It just creates this like energy and momentum, and then other managers think like, oh man, we got some life here. Maybe I need to get in on this action now, and yeah, it's just so powerful. So it's been so cool to see in two different leagues just the exact same scenario play out. Absolutely reviving these leagues from the dead. I love it.
Yeah, no, you can get like a league where there's no activity, and it literally just takes one person because oftentimes the person that leaves whatever is probably one of the more inactive players.
Right.
And yeah, when you get a person in there all of a sudden trading, that's a big thing. When there's like players trapped on a roster, it's like you need a new owner just to get deals going. There's deals that need to be done that the old owner wouldn't even look at their phone, and now they're all being done. It really, like, I've seen that in multiple leagues, and now you guys, of course, are seeing that as well. Yeah. Like, it can really motivate other managers and completely flip the switch, which it sounds like has happened here. So we're looking at the first deal here, I think, right?
Yeah, with Njoku 2 days ago.
Oh, okay. Njoku, let's see.
Yeah, maybe just scroll up.
Here we go. More. Yep.
Yeah, and are you screen sharing right now?
No, I will screen share for you guys.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
It's my bad. Perfect. So.
Yeah, Joey and I didn't waste much time here. I mean, pretty much. I think it was the same day Joey joined this league. I think we got like multiple trades done. So yeah, that was such a blast. This was the first deal we got done in the league. And I think this was probably one of the most like unique trades I've ever made. Like I don't think I've ever done a deal like this. In terms of like the main piece I was trading away was the 110. And by the way, just to give everyone a sense of this league, it is a 10-team start 9, only one quarterback. Basically, no super flex spots, so it's a one quarterback league. It's a PPR. Technically, it's a tiered PPR. So running backs get 1.25 per catch, and then receivers and tight ends get 1.5. So for all intents and purposes, like you can basically just think of it as like no tight end premium, because basically receivers and tight ends get the same amount per catch, 1.5, and then the running backs just get slightly less than 1.25. There are also big play bonuses. I think there's also first down bonuses, 0.25 per first down, regardless of whether it's passing, rushing, or receiving. So definitely some unique scoring in this league. But the big thing is that it's only 10 teams and no super flex spot.
Okay, so, no super flex. Exactly. So now I'm looking at that. So
yeah. So basically what's unique about this trade is that like I'm trading away the 110, and I'm not getting any single player, I would argue that's like worthy of the 110. I mean, maybe Kittle, but like, I mean, I'm a little more concerned about Kittle's age than I feel like most dynasty managers are. But like, this is the one league where I just, just gonna say YOLO. Like, I'm just gonna go with Kittle. It's a $25 buy-in. That's also kind of an important thing to mention. And I have a pretty strong like contending team. And it's just like, yeah, and I have Brock Purdy. So I'm like, you know what? I don't have any Kittle. This is like the perfect league. Like we're talking about, have fun. Just, how do I get George Kittle on this team? Stack with Purdy.
That's a lot of Niners jerseys, You'd think Jordan Mason would be on the team.
I got the Niners jersey on there. We love on the Vikings now. But, yeah, I got Purdy. So, like, give me some stacks. I mean, of course, Cowing's one of my favorite sleepers. But, more importantly, like, basically the deal started where I was trying to get Jordan Mason and Juwan Jennings off of Joey. And he was like, he's like, no, I want to hang on to those guys. And I'm just like, I can't get a Jordan Mason share anywhere. Like,
two of my favorite, off-season guys.
I watched your guys' video.
Right.
And so I knew that those guys were really good sleeping, really good sleeper guys to keep on a roster just like this roster. So I was like, dang it, But for a first, I have to do it with this roster that I have,
Oh, exactly. So like that's the thing is like basically Joey was like, he said he didn't want to trade him, but then quickly he's like, you know what though, if we can get that 110 involved, I'm going to trade him. So it's just like, you know what, like why not? Like let's see if I can craft something where it makes sense because obviously neither Mason nor Jennings are worth a first, even if it's the 110. But I was like, you know what? Like, I bet I can come up with something. So then I was like, ooh, how can we get Kittle in there, And I didn't think Joey would want Njoku. But credit to Joey for just being flexible. Even though Njoku wouldn't seem to fit his build, he ends up, like, flipping Njoku later. Okay. Like, I think, like, the next day. Maybe it was even the same day. I can't remember for sure. But then he got a nice trade done with Njoku. So it's like, I think that's such a great quality that you have, Joey. Just, like, being flexible. How can we get this deal done? So, yeah, we ended up putting the Kittle and Njoku swap in there. But I think one of the interesting things about the deal is I got all these pick swaps in, like, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. And because I'm like, okay, if I'm trading away a first for, 2, like, solid but, like, not, like, amazing players, like, I got to get something else on top of it to justify it. And so, like, the first version I did of it, I think I also had, like, the second, our seconds flipped in there where I would get his, like, 205 and I'd send him the 210. He didn't like that, but, but then Joey said, like, oh, well, if we take the seconds out of that, I don't care about, like, the rest of the swaps. So I was like, okay. And then, the deal just kind of came together. And then once I realized that he would take Njoku and I could get Kittle thrown in there, it was just like, okay, boom, like, let's just do it. And, came together pretty quickly.
So basically it was the 110 for, pretty much just Jennings, Mason, but then you get credit for...
Yeah, and then a tight end upgrade. Even though I think Njoku and Kittle should be a lot closer than the dynasty market believes. Yeah. To me, like, that's about, even. But, like, I know the market values Kittle more, and I just kind of wanted to have fun getting a Kittle share.
And then you get those little swaps thrown in down there. So it's like a creative way to get it. To get the deal done, yeah.
And also another thing I should mention is that, like, if this was like a standard, like, 12-team start 10 super flex league, bigger tight end premium, because effectively I'm thinking of this league as like no tight end premium, just to kind of simplify it in my head. In that kind of normal dynasty league, I would value the 110 a bit more. So I mean, of course, it's a real, it's an awesome pick that you'd love to have, especially as a rebuilder. But like, you're not going to be super excited to draft a quarterback with the 110. You're not going to be super, as excited to draft a tight end as you would be in like a normal league. So it does lessen the value of that pick a little bit to where I think this is like a very fair deal, even though some people might be looking at this and be like, man, like you traded a first for like Jennings and Jordan Mason. Like,
no tight end premium, non-super flex, so it still could be a really good player, still first,
absolutely.
But it looks, especially looks good on paper.
So I think this was like a really interesting deal that like most managers wouldn't do. But like, I think it made perfect sense for my team. I really wanted a Jordan Mason share, like we talked about, I like Jennings as well. I have Purdy. So just everything about this trade just made so much sense for both sides. So I thought this was a really fun one.
And we'll take a look at Joey's team, and I'm, assuming that he's rebuilding to cash out on those guys for a first is obviously, a great move for your flexibility and trade assets there. By the way, Reed is in the chat. Just said, can we look at his team? So let's take a look. It's like kind of get my outlook on here, and maybe you guys can comment or something. Just being kind of like the guy that's not in the league, like tight end. So he ended up with David Njoku.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so we'll see your trade with Njoku.
You froze there for a second. I don't know if it was that was for me or if the viewers saw you frozen too. But
okay, said something about my connection, but we'll take a look quickly is what I was saying. And I saw that he has David Njoku, so we'll get to that trade, Reed and Joey there. But yeah, Hurts. I mean, I'm like the biggest Hurts guy for his value right now. Somehow it seems to be going down after the season he had. And then James Cook and Achane is a lethal running back room. Receivers are awesome. I really like Jacoby Myers. He's always underrated.
Oh, yeah.
Kincaid, not the biggest fan of. Actually just traded him away for Njoku in a deal, which he has both of them, funny enough. And Chase Brown's very interesting besides the draft. So, I mean, that's a wicked starting lineup. And then I'm seeing he has my favorite guy, James Conner, on the bench.
Oh, dude, I love that. Yeah, actually, I just realized that Duncan and I made a deal, I think just yesterday, where I traded him Chase Brown, and I got Garrett Wilson. I also sent him Terry McLaurin. So, yeah, it was basically, I gave him Terry McLaurin and Brown. He sent me Garrett Wilson and Jerry Jeudy. So that was a fun trade. And, but yeah, actually, I had gotten Chase Brown from Joey. And that was like a player. I really love Chase Brown as a player. I didn't have any shares of him. Of course, I'm a little nervous about the NFL draft, but I was like, why not just get a share? Like, this is kind of like just that league. I'm just, just really just having fun, and I'm not like that worried if I like make a bad trade or whatever. So yeah, we'll get to that deal in a second. But then I ended up flipping Chase Brown to Duncan there.
Okay. Perfect. We got a lot of deals coming up for a lot of these players involved. This is an insane bench, by the way. This is like there's not even like a single like Kenny McIntosh on this bench. There's just like it's all people like there's like one Brandon Cooks, but like I do notice it is a little bit of a shallow bench, but I mean that's crazy. Drake May and Ray Davis and stuff on the taxi 105. So I mean that's
I think I saw Rico Dowdle there as well.
Yeah, Dowdle. Nice. Yeah, this is a really solid team, actually.
I like it.
I mean, it could be, there's some deals that could be made there if he wants to consolidate some assets, and I'm sure we'll see some more. That he said he was making some trades recently. Okay, so he said he just traded for Jacoby Myers, so we'll probably get to that in a moment here. Yeah. So this looks like the next trade. Yeah. Okay, so this is how you got Chase Brown before you trade him away. So. Perfect. Yeah. So Joey, you were involved in this one as well, and so looking at it, it was like a 26 first for Chase Brown, and like maybe like or for Godwin, whatever which one,
however you
and
want to look at it. Yeah.
210 in a second for the other one.
Yeah,
and exactly. Then Thielen in. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's like I actually almost think like it should be Godwin maybe for the first, because Chase Brown is a pretty volatile asset with the draft coming. He's priced right now, by the way, like on startups and stuff, as if he just has the job, which he certainly doesn't have, though I think there is a chance he survives. So I'd feel, I think it's an interesting one, because I wouldn't send a first for Godwin, but I also would send, basically a future in a late second for Brown easily. So that pretty much evens out pretty well. Like I really like that.
Yeah. And then that's the way I look at it, is that like, whichever one I'm giving the first for, I'm probably like overpaying slightly. And whichever one I'm getting for the 2 seconds, I'm like underpaying by a little bit. So it kind of just like evens out perfectly. So yeah, Joey, you came up with this offer. Like I wasn't sure we'd be able to get something done, because like I wasn't dying to throw a first, because you asked me like, you're like, oh, would you move a first for either Godwin or Chase Brown? I was kind of like, yeah, probably not, But then when you came up with this offer, it's like, okay, I only got to pay a first for one. I get the other for 2 seconds. Like now we're talking here.
So this is one of those deals, Joey, where like, it might be hard to get a first for like Godwin or Chase Brown, so you're like willing to take a little bit less on like the other one. Is that kind of how you came up with this?
Yes. So this is what I was telling you about. I'm not always looking to crush every trade. Like if you look at my roster in this league and what I inherited, I'm foreclosing my home, and I have to get creative, and I need to make a lot of moves so I can just sleep at night. And I'm in the business of accumulating as many firsts as I can, as quickly as I can, before someone breaks their ankle tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing, and you know, I'm doing it with Dan and others who are flexible, and where I do think that I probably lost this trade. I do think that Godwin is worth more than 2 seconds. And I do think, for me personally, I do think I kind of believe in Chase Brown a little bit, because I do think that even if you're a contender this year, I think that even if they do draft a really good, running back, I can't remember what picks the Bengals have this year, but if they do get a really good value running back with a lot of upside, to compete with Chase Brown, I still think, just based on the GM's comments I was reading the other day, like, this guy's going to be really productive this year, even
Yeah.
in a timeshare. And
Yeah.
so, I kind of believe in Chase Brown, but my
Yeah.
my roster, he's doing nothing on my
Yeah,
roster.
yeah.
All he's doing is ruining my chances at getting the 101 next year.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
happy to get rid of him. And to the first owner who's willing to do deals with me, congratulations. Like,
Yeah.
that's my mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered a lot there about, like, that's my biggest pet peeve is, like, if you're in a position with the team you're taking over, like, I am the 101, like, Nazi. Like, I make sure I go ahead and, like, if I'm tanking, I'm getting the 101, and if I can't get the 101, like, okay, I'm getting the 102, because someone just, like, it's impossible to tank the other person, pretty much, with what I have. It would, like, be counterproductive. So, like, I do love that. So, and it's funny, because, like, you might technically, let's say Chase Brown survives the draft. You might be losing the deal slightly for market value right now, but in a year from now, especially if you made these picks or traded them back or whatever it is, like, you could also absolutely. That's the best part about, like, having the pick side is it doesn't even matter what you get if you take an underpay. There's always a way to, like, finesse it so that you end up with a more valuable side, and being in your position, like, obviously, that's what you need to try to do anyways. And I think it's a pretty fair deal. Like, for the most part, I am forgetting that it's non-super flex,
Right.
non-tight end premium though. So I don't tell you what you mean about the 2 seconds. Those players. Oh. Here's the next deal. And by the way, I think you had shown me this or something. Where you texted it to me when you did it, and I bet Hey Matt, hey, his stream. What was that? On Sunday. Or no, was that no? Sorry, last
Thursday,
Wednesday, or Thursday. Yeah, I bet that had something to do with it, because he mentioned there Kyler Murray, like, had a pretty rough market apparently, which I actually own 2 Murrays, but I just hadn't been shopping them, so I could see that being true. Is this a 4 point or 6 point?
Actually, like, I mean, I kind of like Kyler Murray. I mean, I wasn't, like, dying to get rid of him. Like, it was my only share of him, so part of me just thought, like, this would be a fun team to just keep Kyler Murray on. Like, maybe he can kind of, like, get back to kind of his old, like, self, just putting up these, like, ridiculous fantasy points each week. So I definitely think he's a super fun player that I would be more than happy to roster with, especially in this league.
Yeah.
But it just made too much sense given that, this team, I inherited the orphan. It just happened to have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams on it. So
yeah,
of course, that was perfect for me as a Lions fan.
Yeah.
But, like, you know what? Just give me the stack. Like, even though, I mean, I have more quarterbacks than I can start each week. I mean, I got Mahomes, Brock Purdy, and now Goff. So, like, I know I can only start one each week, but, like, it's still fun having the stacks because, like, if one of those QBs just gets, like, red hot, and then, like, especially in the fantasy playoffs, like, let's say it's Purdy, then I can fire up, I can make sure to fire up, like, Jennings and a flex. Of course, I got, Kittle at tight end. And if it's Goff, like, of course, St. Brown's always going to be in my lineup, but, like, maybe I go out of my way to, like, get Jameson Williams in the flex spot. So it still is fun having those stacks. So it just made too much sense to kind of make that swap. So that's why I was willing to get rid of Murray.
Yeah, and you grab, like, whatever. You're going to have the least valuable side of the two for market here, which helps Joey. I mean, Joey, I'm assuming you have Kyler over Goff. You're making this deal.
Yeah, it's a 6 point. So to me, they're kind of close. just because Goff and that offense just so efficient, so efficient. But with Murray, I think that the potential for him to be a top 10 QB is always going to be there,
Yeah.
scoring wise. And I like me a little bit of Jatavian Sanders.
Okay.
There's something about what I saw from him as far as what he flashed last year that I really liked. I think if he doesn't get injured last year, there was a couple really big plays that he flashed that I just really jumped out at me, and I had a lot of Panthers on my team, and so I was watching a lot of Panthers, and
Okay.
I don't know, I just have a feeling. I have a feeling that there's something there with that guy. So he
Yeah.
seems
I
to
like
be a
it.
really natural pass catcher to me. So,
Yeah, he was
but
heating up, and then
just
he
kind of like the feel.
yeah, he landed on his neck really awkwardly, and it looked bad. And I don't know if he ever came back from that season, but I think I pretty much wrote his season off there. But yeah, I was kind of missing out for those weeks that I was heating up. Like I didn't have any JT Sanders, um, so I was like, oh shoot, I'm missing out here. But yeah, I definitely like this trade from your perspective here, and then obviously I can understand from with Dan with all the stacks. And I'm like the biggest. I mean, I don't know how many golf shares I have. I guess it's probably only like maybe four but that's like a pretty big percentage of my leagues. And I mean, he was awesome to own in the playoffs last year. But yeah, I would take Kyler easily over him. Which makes it interesting here because now it's JT with these two guys. Hollywood Brown is like I don't even know what he's worth. Some people might not even give you a third for him. Some people yeah,
He's worth 0, but
he's like a little sneaky.
I own 0 Hollywood Brown, but he was just kind of like what do you call it? Like when you're at the supermarket and you see like the candy bars as you're checking out. It was just kind of
throw him in, yeah,
thrown in there,
yeah.
Because I have Mahomes, so it's just kind of like a free stack to have. And honestly, like I didn't even think about Hollywood Brown until I was making this deal. But I'm like, you know what? He could be a little sneaky. Like if Rashee Rice does get suspended or if he has a setback with his injury or whatever. Yeah. I mean, of course, like the big thing with Hollywood Brown is health, but like he's still like fairly young. I forget how old he was, but I was surprised. I looked at his age. I think he was only like 28 or something like that. So he's not exactly like ancient. He's probably still pretty fast. Decent wide receiver. Who knows? Like if that Chiefs defense could ever just get a little worse and like Mahomes is actually forced to throw the ball, like if there's ever an injury or a suspension to either Worthy or Rashee Rice, like I think Hollywood Brown could be halfway interesting. So he was a fun throw-in, as was Nick Chubb. I mean, I know most people think Nick Chubb is washed, and he very well might be. He's not even signed to a team yet. But we've seen Nick Chubb be amazing before. There's always a chance he could do it again, as low as it might be.
So I agree.
Oh, sorry, you go.
Sorry. I agree, and imagine how frustrated I would be if I'm tanking and Worthy goes down, and he just starts catching bombs. Like I would just be like destroyed by that. Like, no one would want to buy him from me either.
Right.
They'd be, no, I'm not gonna buy this. Like, man, that would suck. Like,
dude, yeah, it'd be the worst. And even then, people would be like, "Yeah, I'll give you a fourth for him. I'll throw you some fab." Like it would drive you nuts. So yeah, just cash out now. Yeah. And I thought that was win-win. Like I knew you liked Jatavian Sanders a bit, as do I. But it was just like, you know what? Like, I got Kittle. Like, I even have like Pitts as a backup. So like, I don't really need Sanders in a league like this. So it just made perfect sense this deal on both sides of it.
Oh yeah, that trade made a lot of sense. From my perspective there. And by the way, Reed in the chat is saying, "Hey, he gave a third for Hollywood, so maybe there's a deal there."
Hey.
We're making deals in the stream.
Right. I love it.
On to the next one, which Reed is involved in now. This is the Njoku trade. So this is interesting, by the way, because I noticed that Reed had had Connor. So like when I see that, because I own a lot of Connor, but I've been like trying to get a couple Benson shares going either in the same league or opposite leagues to hedge, and it's hard because if I don't own Connor, it seems like the Benson owner is the same as the Connor and the others. So how did this deal come about here?
I can't remember exactly how it all started, but I was shopping in Njoku, so I was really scouring the league, looking for any team that might be able to use a productive tight end. I mean, I didn't care if I went into this season with 0 tight ends. So, and I was looking to maybe get a second for Njoku. I was kind of struggling with that. So I had Jacoby, and I had one other wide receiver, and I was really willing to like deal Jacoby or the other wide receiver, and I think he liked Myers more. And I was really, really happy to get Benson. I thought he was a really perfect buy for my team, because I'd be really happy if Benson got 0 points this year, and continued to be really efficient with what little touches he gets. Or if Connor goes down in like week 17 and Benson just destroys in week 17 or something, and the there's like a report that comes out and they're like, yeah, this is the future. Like, that would be my dream scenario, and I'm continuing to tank, and then just continuing my plan of getting as many seconds and as I can, seconds and firsts.
Yeah.
So I think this is a win-win for him. I agree with you, Blake. Like, I think Jacoby's just like always going to be a really great number 2 in this league in particular, with the 3 wide receivers and the 2 flexes. Myers is an awesome buy.
Yeah, a player I think I love about a guy like Jacoby Myers is he's like the cheapest guy that you can throw in your lineup every single week, and there's value to that. Even if he's just whatever, putting up wide receiver 2 numbers, even if it's like mid to low most weeks, like you're spending minimal on that flex spot, and he always seems, I don't know, I guess in my head he seems to always be healthy, which definitely helps. But now if you're acquiring Myers, you can, because he's so low and he's like producing kind of like those, call it Jalen Waddles and Chris Olaves and stuff like that. His production's not that far off. You don't have to pay a first, anything close to that. Now you have that first to like throw around other places. I love like looking for that in a player. But of course for your team, yeah, I'm getting him the hell out of here because he's scoring too many points. Benson is an interesting conversation. I won't get too deep, but I'll just mention I'm a little scarred because we're just talking about the history repeating itself. Trey Benson is like a nearly identical just situation to Condre Miller, who I absolutely loved. I'm like stuck with like 6 Condre Miller shares, and I was like buying some last season stuff. So I still think he's a really good player. I'm not saying this will happen to Benson because I've gotten 3 Benson shares, this offseason. But I'm still like a little skeptical while doing it. I have to because I own so much Connor, like over 50% Connor. Because you're mentioning, what if he doesn't do much this season? Unfortunately, if he doesn't do much this season, he does need to be efficient or whatever, stay healthy, because then all of a sudden now he's the next Condre Miller, who's worth nothing. But it is good that you mentioned if he gets hurt, because Connor always gets hurt at some point. If Benson just comes in and flashes for just like a couple weeks, that's enough to get him by into year 3, even if he doesn't take over the job. So he's a really, really interesting player. I can see a pretty high ceiling and a pretty low floor when getting him, but I think it's like worth it on this team where he's projected not to score any points week 1 for you, which is what you need. So I think it's like a pretty fun deal there.
Yeah. I love Benson as a buy, either for a contender or a rebuilder. I think, Joey explained how it, could work as a rebuilder for sure. And we've just seen like whatever like Cardinals running back seems to go in there seems to be efficient and productive. And I do think Benson is like a pretty talented player. So, I mean, Connor's he's going to hit the age cliff at some point. And like, as much as we hate to see it, like, I mean, Connor's a, fantasy GOAT, always heats up during the playoffs, but like at some point, like he's not going to be able to do it anymore. I think there's, a decent chance that like Benson's like the running back of the future there for the Cardinals. So, it's a question of like, when does that happen? But like, I love betting on these like year 2 breakouts, especially for these like players that were rookies last year that, were disappointing, or, I mean, it takes more time than just a single season, like a lot of times. And like most dynasty managers just don't have that patience. So I think he's a great buy.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Which is why I've been getting him. And like, this is what I love about this deal, Joey, is like after week 1, there's literally a range of outcomes where Trey Benson's like easily the most valuable guy in this deal. If he just subs in there or whatever, the first month of the season, he subs in, Connor's out because he always gets hurt, and now he's smashing. and perfect. Who doesn't want a productive young running back? You'll be willing to deal him for a first plus, whatever it is. Like,
Actually, I just thought of
Yeah.
like an interesting scenario. Imagine like these stat lines for week 1 of the season, okay? James Conner gets like, let's call it like 11 carries for, 37 yards, right? And Benson gets 9 carries for, 76 yards and a touchdown. He breaks off like a long run or something, and it's like, ooh, like Benson looked really good. Like, he outproduced James Conner, week 1, even though he had like a couple fewer touches, but like it's looking like a 50-50 timeshare, and Benson's looking more explosive. And like, I mean, you could see the narrative really taking off at that point. And who knows, like maybe the Cardinals just think, hey, we're going to ride Benson more. And like, I mean, things could change very quickly.
Yeah, that's also possible. I thought it would be like the Kyron year 2, week 1 thing, where all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, like this guy has a role.
Oh yeah,
Certainly possible.
yeah.
So-
It could be. I mean, what if Benson out touches Connor week 1? Or like, holy crap, like who saw that coming? So it's just like weird, unexpected things happen. So I love the bet on Benson.
Let me pivot to another year or two back that's on my roster that I wouldn't normally have on my roster, and that's Blake Corum. And I don't have a Kyren Williams, and my question is, I probably I don't at this point, I don't have enough assets left to really package him with much, I don't think. So I'm kind of stuck with him. I could wait and see if Kyren goes down or something like that, and just get really lucky and then maybe trade him if something like just a miracle. I could go to the Kyren owner and maybe try to trade him for like a third or something maybe. But what do you guys know about Blake in terms of, him as a player? What do you think I can do with a player like him? Like, what do you see as his like ceiling, right, as a player? Because my son is like, oh, he's trash. He watches college football and he hates Blake Corum. Or he said he was good in college, but he'd never be good in the NFL. And I don't know why he says that. Yeah, you got the Michigan hat. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, I definitely watched some Blake Corum. I think he's an awesome running back, and I think he's like the ultimate. I mean, he might have like more upside as a handcuff than any other like running back in the NFL, just from the fact of like not even just his talent, but even more so the situation of the Rams offense. The McVay offense, and just the fact that they love to ride like one running back. I mean, we've seen a lot of very fantasy productive running backs there, from Todd Gurley, even like Cam Akers had his day. Now we see it with Kyren Williams. So like if Kyren went down with an injury, like Blake Corum would be a league winner. Like you'd probably be able to move him for a first if he was putting up Kyren Williams type of numbers. And immediately people think, okay, he's taking over for Kyren now. And I mean, Kyron's on the last year of his rookie deal anyways, I believe. So like, I mean, his dynasty value could skyrocket in the case of an injury. So I think you're probably just better off like waiting until that happens.
Yeah.
Also, like, what if the unexpected happens, and like kind of like just like the same scenario with Trey Benson? Like, what if week 1, like Corum has like 50% of the carries and looks really good? And I mean, just don't know. Like, all kinds of things are possible. So like, yeah, I wouldn't just dump him for like a third right now. I think there's way more upside in just holding him. Just be patient and just wait for that moment. And I think it'll probably come sooner or later.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up about Corum because I year 2, like if you're looking at the numbers between players from year 1 to year 2, we think of like year 2 breakouts or receivers. Like it happens with running backs too. I don't know that he's gonna take much work from Kyren, but that's the best part. He doesn't need to. And LA is just like the land of fantasy league winners. So I'm probably keeping Corum. Like I have him in a league. I'll probably end up getting some more like in rookie drafts if I start like tearing down and stuff like that and try to get him throwing in some deals. Because people just don't like. That's what I love is like when expectations are high for a player, nothing really happens a rookie year for good reason, and then people are just out for no reason. Like it's just I love players like that.
I absolutely love what you just said there. I cannot think of a sneakier player to get during rookie drafts than Blake Corum. Trade back, maybe you see like a certain tier you're in is flat, trade back, a handful of picks and like, hey, can you throw Blake, just throw me Blake Corum and I'll let you move up these spots. Or, maybe you got to kick something back or whatever, but like no one's going to care about Blake Corum during the rookie draft. Everyone's just focused on these rookies.
And there's going to be so many running backs, too.
Yeah, Blake Corum just some crappy running back that did nothing in year one. Who cares about him? Like, that is the perfect time to get him. So, yeah, like that's a great idea. I'm going to be looking to do that.
Yeah, my favorite
thing. You guys made my day. He's like, this is the perfect asset for my roster. I love
it.
It
is.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, no, it 100% is. And that's what I was going to mention, Joey, because I haven't, well, I'll have to look again at your team. But, like, I've done my fair share when I was doing startups, like the productive struggle and just, like, cleaning house on running back. But if there's anything you want to own, it's like rookie and year 2 running backs. Preferably guys that actually aren't even projected to like score points like Benson and Corum. But if they do start scoring points, they've doubled, tripled in value. Who knows, potentially more, depending on how good they are. And guess what? Now that they're starting, you can act quickly if you want. Eat the points for a couple weeks, and sell when you think the time is right. Because, like, again, who doesn't like young, productive running backs, especially guys like on LA and the Cardinals? Again, you mentioned, Dan, always good running backs for fantasy.
Oh yeah, and I love targeting those like particular teams that you just know like you want to own running backs on. I list them off all the time, but it's like the 49ers, Lions, Dolphins, Rams, maybe even like Bears would be one you add now with like Ben Johnson going there. Like, just give me like all the running backs I can get on like these great offenses where you just know like pretty much whatever running back is in there is going to be really productive for fantasy.
Yeah, I can speak from experience here in the confession corner about overpaying. I'm really lucky that the owners did not accept my offers last year for guys like Tank Bigsby, because I was offering like huge like picks, future picks for those guys, and they were turning them down. Thankfully, because the value, really did go down. I was basically buying it like their peak value,
Yeah, and that's good to mention it because, you want to be on the opposite side of that. You want to be getting them in the offseason when no one cares about Tank Bigsby, just like we're talking about these running backs. And then when they're doing something in season, they are all of a sudden, like untouchable. Of course, you'll be smart and you'll sell them at their peak or on their way to their peak. Like Tank Bigsby was a really hard guy to get. Thankfully, I don't think I was paying too much like for him, but like I never even ended up getting one. Thankfully, I guess.
But in my own defense, this was my first Dynasty season, so I hadn't spent any time thinking about what goes into a Dynasty offseason and thinking about a draft class. Like, this is my first time actually digging into a draft class. So with that being said, now I'm actually thinking about the 2026 draft class a little. So.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I saw you added some extra picks, so I'm sure we'll see those in some deals. I guess we got to hurry up as far as these trades here. We got so sidetracked there, but I like the conversation.
Great conversation, though.
Absolutely. So this deal here, this is one you mentioned, Garrett Wilson.
This was between me and Reed.
Yeah. You mentioned that. I think this is a fine deal. I like getting the I mentioned on our stream. I think Garrett Wilson, even if you have to keep waiting, he's like, call it my bias, whatever. I think Garrett Wilson, when you're getting 160 targets, like your receivers, you're betting on talent. Running backs, you're betting on situation mostly. I like Garrett Wilson a lot, and I like getting them. However, this could be one where you take the hit year one for points or whatever, but pays out long
especially
term.
with the big play bonuses in this league, I think that really could give Terry McLaurin and Chase Brown a nice boost. So, especially if the Bengals don't draft a running back early, I think Reed will be very happy with having McLaurin and Brown in this format.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, dude, Chase Brown, I don't know if he's gonna survive. I'm feeling more confident, although I'd been seeing those running back top 30 visits. Interesting that they were both Buckeyes, because they're at least close to Cincy. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
It makes you a little nervous. But the best time to buy a Chase Brown is if the Bengals draft a running back, but you still believe in him, like Joey was articulating earlier. That's the time to swoop in and get Chase Brown at a discount at that point. So I think if the Bengals do end up drafting a running back, I think I'll be looking to see if I can get a little Chase Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about the visits, but they've got running back scouts whose job it is to have a board of running back scouts. It doesn't mean that You know what I mean? They're just going to have a board of scouts. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that. I don't know enough to say that that means any one thing. But the Seahawks, for example, they went out and drafted Charbonnet, and they did that because their philosophy is to draft the best player available. Like, I hated that they did it. Everyone hates that they did it. Now they've got two really great running backs, and I guess that's, but that's part of, at the time, that was part of Pete Carroll's philosophy. So it's just really tricky. And I think that, like, I just think that the player, in this case, I think the player is such a great fit for the organization. And the GM said some amazing things about him, saying something about how, like, he Brown literally made them right. They haven't had a player like him since before Mixon. That's incredible.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
That's incredible to say that. I mean, Mixon is like one of the best running backs in their franchise history. Like, so pretty glowing stuff to say.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, I'm with you at Brown, and I think the only I'm not going to buy him because his price is so high that I might as well just buy him after the draft, and his price isn't even gonna really change. Let me just see that he survives. It's kind of like I forget what player it was. I think it was Tracy. It's honestly, the logic, it doesn't even make sense for them to invest highly in a running back. They'll bring one in. Same with Chase Brown.
Go defense.
Exactly. Same with Chase Brown. It doesn't make any sense for them to take a running back early. The one issue I have with both those teams is who the hell knows what those organizations always make bad decisions. So TBD, as a rebuilder, when we were talking about trade earlier, I like getting rid of him. But if you're a contender, he is kind of a guy that you can kind of ride him in if you're not getting top dollar for him, and see if you get a league winner on your hands. This is a deal, I guess, with none of you guys. I guess we can look at it real quick. Okay, it's non-tight end premium, but I love Hawkinson. I don't know. What do you guys think about this one here? This is
I wasn't sure what to think of it because there's basically no tight end premium, so it's probably a fair price. But if I needed a tight end, I'd be more than happy to pay this for Hawkinson.
Me too.
Pretty much what I'm thinking too. Yeah, that's fair. I think
especially when you take the quarterbacks out of the first 12 picks.
Yeah, exactly, and the tight ends moving back, and I think our Hawkinson is super flex, price dependent. No one seems to really want him. I think there's a good potential that he's actually a sneaky little value there.
Hey, and then do we skip past some of these just trade swap picks? They're probably not that exciting. Unless there's one that you're really dying to, we can make an exception. But...
okay, yeah, let's keep moving. Yeah, what was this? What was this? Let me take a look at this.
I definitely want to dive into King of the Hill because that was the first orphan that I got Joey.
These are donations.
Okay, I was gonna say, wait, how are we? You took 8 picks to get Jonathan Mingo to cut him for him.
No,
that's hilarious. And then
I was in the begging for help.
Okay,
full donation there.
And then so that's not you. And then,
I think that was another.
Okay, here. Oh yeah, another pick swap one. Okay, wait, this is a little interesting here. So you move back 2 spots, and then you get. Okay, you move back 2 spots. You get a 20.
He gets a better first in 26, and then he upgrades a 27 second to a first.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a good deal. I like that one for
myself on that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's the kind of deal. I've actually made a famous, to me a famous trade where I sent 3 firsts for a 3 firsts for 2 firsts. No, 3 firsts and a second for 2 firsts. But those 2 firsts ended up being the 102 and 103 in the 24 class. And, I gave up a bunch of junk that ended up being, Charbonnet and, Kincaid and a non-tight end premium and stuff like that. So I ended up, just absolutely dominating the trade, and it, completely sparked a whole... I had a kind of, a complete rebuild, and I was competing next year as, one of my favorites. So.
Nice. One of those firsts is Dan's first, and I believe that Dan is gonna be a perennial contender Just
he'll give you the 101. Don't
just
worry.
just because of his experience. Like,
Yeah.
so for me, that was a part of it. I was like, hey, I'll bet on that. I'll bet on the fact that Dan's, and I like his team.
So you sent that one away? That first away? Or you got it back?
Oh no, he sent away my first, and he got back a more attractive first. That's going to be a lot higher.
Dude, yeah. I was joking. Dan will give you the 101, but that's what I love is like, and that's what I did in that one where like I was betting on managers. That's like, I was betting off of managers like if there was a future pick that were clearly like you don't want their first, and you can like really. That's probably like the most untalked about part is like getting pick swaps. Where we got to make a whole like episode on that. Where when you're like in rookie drafts, it's the biggest opportunity to win for value, and like that's what you can like absolutely try to do, Joey. Is that like there was one last year where I had the 201 and I turned that into I got Hunter Henry thrown in, no one cares, but I got the 102 this year for the 201 last year, because I just looked at the roster, was like, how the hell is this guy not going to give me an awesome pick? And it's
so basically you traded the 201 on the clock for a future first, in the following year, which
100.
ended up turning into 102. So that's one of the sneakiest things you can do. And Blake is just an absolute, pulling those off. And that's definitely something that I've taken from Blake, and I'm looking to do more of. And so Joey, I thought that was a genius trade on your part. Like again, like I really appreciate like your creativity, and like you definitely seem to be kind of like ahead of your time. Like I wouldn't expect a beginner. Beginner in Dynasty. Is weird to even call you that, because I mean it feels like you've been playing for at least like a few years, but like that's a really savvy trade offer to make. So I'm impressed you pulled that one off.
Yeah,
thanks, man.
And was this going to be your first rookie draft like this offseason?
No, this will be my second rookie draft. It was a startup draft where you pick kickers.
Yes.
Last year, and dude, it was the worst. I had the worst performance ever. I ended up with no first round rookie picks.
Okay.
And I ended up. You want to hear my quarterbacks in the Superflex?
Yeah. Sure.
My best quarterback was Kirk Cousins, and my second best quarterback was Rodgers, and and then I had to trade into the first. I overpaid to get into the first. I traded away Jonathan Taylor for the 109 and picked Xavier Worthy. Just disgusting on my part. And I mean, I had to rip it apart halfway through. And I mean, I loved every second of it. I realized I was awful at this, like week 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, so there's this thing called tanking. I was like, all right, I'll try that.
Yeah.
And it just started working. I mean, I got McConkey. I ended up getting Brian Thomas Jr. I traded away Justin Jefferson. I traded away, why am I blanking on his name? Dan, I think you might have just gotten him from the Jets there.
Oh, Harrelson.
Yes, traded him. Just all my best assets that were wide receivers and running backs. I flipped all of them.
Yeah.
And just got all those young rookie wide receivers that weren't so productive yet. It was just very fun season, and that hooked me for sure. Tanking, and now I got the 101. So
So did you make those trades like in season? What was it like?
Yes.
Like in the season.
Yeah,
okay, so you moved your studs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that worked out very nicely. I mean, you saw all those guys break out. I mean, obviously it didn't take Brian Thomas long, but like. Then a little bit later, it was McConkey breaking out. Then it was Worthy breaking out at the end of the season. So, like, man, I can just imagine you as like a, basically first-time Dynasty player, like how satisfying it must have been to see that play out over the course of the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's a bunch of timing to those trades and stuff like that, and it's like awesome. Like that's the best part is if you miss out on rookies during the season, they're not scoring points. Some of them. You go ahead and you give up your whatever you're the veteran player scoring points, like you're getting much more bang for your buck trading those vets in season and then getting those rookies that haven't started scoring yet. And kind of like it goes to like Dan and I were talking about like the most hilarious, just like most obvious thing that sure people have said before, but like I don't think it's preached enough. It's just like in the off season, get players that are going to score points. It's pretty simple. Just get players that are going to score points, and come week 1, so much changes week 1. Like literally just one in 24 hours, because you see some random player go off and these guys dud out.
Chris Godwin.
Exactly, Chris Godwin. I had Joshy, who was on here. He wanted our projected 101 for Chris Godwin and Deontay Johnson, and I'm like, no way. That's not even like that's a joke. But he's saying that's what I need to trade them. So it's funny how like of course I'm not ever going to consider that, but he got some pretty good deals for those players like in season. Just get guys that are going to score points. It's pretty easy. They're at their cheapest generally in the offseason, those veterans, and then get the unproductive guys or the rookies in season. It's hilarious how simple that is. If you just can kind of read the like just look into the future a little bit and see the bigger picture. You're buying low, selling high.
Yeah, because basically when week 1 happens, anyone that doesn't score points week 1, their value is going to go down, whether that's fair or not. You know what I mean? It's just going to happen. And then any player that scores points week 1, their value is going to go up. So like like Calvin Ridley's a perfect example. Like no one wants to trade for Calvin Ridley except for like Blake and I pretty much. But like he's a guy we're buying cheap, and it's like if he has a big week 1 and maybe Cam Ward's the quarterback, maybe he comes out and is really good or whatever, but like that's a guy that could like shoot up in value like pretty quickly.
Yeah, and James Conner last year was like my big one. That's why I have so much James Conner. No one wanted him as startups. We're getting like the 13th round of startups behind like just joke of picks ahead of him, and I mean I'm not even selling him. I'm just riding out the Mr. League winner 4 years in a row or whatever. Connor there. But let's look at this trade here. So this is a huge one. I've seen this one before.
So this is the King of the Hill League. It's the first orphan I had that Joey took over in terms of leagues that I'm in. So this is a 12-team league. It's start 11 and Superflex, PPR, a 1.0 tight end premium. So the tight ends get 2 PPR. And I believe there are some big play bonuses. Actually there's some kind of significant big bonuses in this league.
Yeah.
So this is a fun league.
Yeah. You mentioned that there was like big, because I couldn't not understand why you would do this deal when you sent it. I mean, I still can't really, but I saw your point about like Drake London was like not really scoring as many more points than like Jameson Williams, but of course,
oddly in this format they were scoring like the same amount of points. Now, like certainly I expect that gap to widen because like Drake London is like one of my favorite buys this offseason, so like it definitely pained me to like trade away like my last and only share of him. So I definitely think it was a good deal for Joey. And like in any format, like London's still going to be awesome, but like this was at least like a league format that I could at least like justify it, to get Josh Allen.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there's a gap between Hurts and Allen, but I just love Hurts so much that like I'm not paying more than like a second to go from Hurts to Allen.
Wow.
Because there's no way I'm paying a first for that gap. I know that. Actually, I just saw something crazy when I was looking through stats, and I didn't know this. It is skewed because Josh Allen didn't play Week 18, or he played a few snaps.
Yeah.
But like, if I'd like to see what it was if we remove that game from the, from the sample there. But like Baker Mayfield had as many points as him. I actually had more than him with that game included. It's not exactly true, but I was like pretty shocked to see that. And like Daniels was right there and stuff like that. I don't know. I thought Josh Allen's season, it was amazing, but there was like surprising like 4 other quarterbacks up there with him. And then Hurts had the concussions and stuff like that, kind of like skewing his points. So like I love this move for Joey. Pretty much is what I'm trying to say here. Like I'm assuming this wasn't the greatest team that you took over.
Yeah, not the greatest team. Not as bad of a position as the one I just took over. But I'll say this: I had my doubts after this trade was over because this is the first time that I ever had like a QB1 that I traded away. And so there was like an emotional element to it where I just wasn't sure, like, cause like you've got a couple tools that you use to like look at value when you do trades. And so I just wasn't sure. I mean, I think you tell yourself that if you're going to trade away a Josh Allen, that it needs to be overwhelming. It needs to be
Yeah.
overwhelming in my favor. And this was balanced. And it's like, wait, did I lose this? Like, honestly, I was asking myself that. Just because you don't see Josh Allen get dealt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't have like a lot to compare it to. So I really was wondering, like, but at the end of the day, for me, it was really just getting, for me, like you said, yeah, there is a gap between Allen and Hurts. I will say this: if it was anyone other than Hurts down that list of quarterbacks,
Yeah.
I may not have felt like this was the right deal for me. So it was the perfect QB to do it with.
Right.
He's at the end of that tier for me. So because of that, I thought, like this is a good trade, but I actually thought it was really fair. Because it kind of like, as I guess as it should, it did have me kind of second guessing myself a little bit too.
Mhm.
Yeah, with me
So
so high on Hurts, like if it was not Hurts, then it would look,
yeah,
much
because I'm
much
not
more.
I'm not that high on Hurts mainly because of what Saquon brings to that offense and just how like if you know I guess for me as a Seahawks fan watching what happened to Russell Wilson as he got a little older, I do see like that in Jalen Hurts' future a little bit. Like I think at a certain point he's probably going to like use his legs a little bit less, like in the next 3 years, just to like for like longevity in his career. And with Saquon being such a dominant runner, like I can't see why he would continue to like put himself at jeopardy running the ball. So, you know, those are the reasons why I'm not like super in love with Hurts. But the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, it's tough though because like yeah, I do think gradually like he'll probably like run the ball like less, but like I think it'll be like it'll taper off slowly enough that like yeah, for the next handful of years, like I don't think it'll be like much of a difference. And like usually you're only kind of looking like a few years ahead in Dynasty anyways, because you just never know when a league's just gonna like up and fold like out of the blue. But also I think Russell Wilson, I think that was more about like the NFL changing to like every defense playing like the two deep safeties and like stopping the big plays. Like I can't remember what channel it was on, but I remember watching some YouTube video where they were saying that like basically like that change, that trend in NFL defenses probably hurt Russell Wilson more than like any other player in the NFL. So like maybe it was more about that. But yeah, I hear you though. I mean, like quarterbacks do, tend to run the ball less as they get older, but at the same time, like I feel like every year, like someone makes that argument about like Josh Allen, for instance, that like,
I
oh
was
no,
gonna
they're
say
not
that could apply to Josh
running
Allen, I think, more than Hurts though, because Allen is the reckless runner. The one thing I really like about Hurts, he's a very very smart rusher. He does not take hits. Josh Allen can get a little crazy, which is what's awesome about
He's a
him in
bruiser.
fantasy. And he's older, so it's funny because I think it actually applies more to Allen. But what I love about Hurts is that all that stuff is true about Hurts with the whole Saquon, and Saquon just had basically one of the best seasons ever, maybe the best season from running back ever, and Jalen Hurts was still freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I know the points per game won't suggest it because then he got hurt and it got skewed, and I mean he's as consistent as it gets at the QB. It's why I love him so much, and his price somehow is going down. He was like, for reference, like pick 4 last year, pick 4 to 5. And now he's going like I saw him go pick 10. I mean, I love that. Like, I guess
Yeah,
he plays good every time.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
weird
he went with the 10th pick. Hurts did in the startup that Blake and I did recently. But yeah, the only point I was making about Josh Allen is that like I feel like for multiple off seasons in a row, I've seen like multiple people on YouTube being like, oh, Josh Allen probably, they'll probably start to run the ball a little less, and they're going to be like more rushing touchdowns for like the running backs. And I guess that did kind of happen for James Cook this year, but it wasn't because Josh Allen like ran for any fewer touchdowns. So I feel like it's one of those things that people say like every off season, but just like kind of never happens. But it does kind of taper off gradually. But I don't think it's that big a deal for me. But just looking at the fantasy points per game from last season, and I think it's fair to compare since it was kind of skewed for both.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Allen and Jalen Hurts, because they both basically technically played in a game that they really didn't play in, like due to either injury or rest. But Josh Allen averaged 30.9 points per game. Really it should be higher.
Oh, in this
and
league.
then Jalen averaged 27.9, and really it should be higher. But just comparing that apples to apples as it is, basically, 2 points per game difference. So not a ton there, but I don't know. There's just something about Josh Allen, like the spike weeks that he offers. Like Blake and I always say that like Jalen Hurts probably scores more like 30-point games than any other quarterback, but Josh Allen probably scores like more like 40 and 50-point games than any other quarterback. So I just love that weekly ceiling that you get from Allen.
Oh yeah, it's hard to survive that spike week from Allen.
Like of the million reasons to play Dynasty football, like to get to watch Josh Allen play on one of your teams, that's one of the reasons. You know what I mean? And if you can go get that guy for your team, like go do it.
But you know what? Like, I mean, but so yeah, I understand. Like, yeah, it's hard to trade away a player like that. But yet, like, once you've built up your like wealth of value and assets and everything, then you can make a trade like this and get a Josh Allen type. So, like, I think it's important just to remember that process. But I hear you, and I love your perspective on that.
Yeah. No, I'm really happy with the trade, and I felt like to be able to go get Drake London. I mean, one of my absolute favorite buys. Like, I think if you're gonna be in Dynasty in a format like this, and you're gonna go get a guy who's right on the elite wide receiver one bubble, like before it's happened.
Yeah.
But if you like look at the last like 4-week stretch of the year prior, like that's a great way to get yourself there, before
absolutely.
It's like, and it just shocks me that people are willing to deal that guy, like at all. Like there was another league where it happened where I had to beg for him as well. And, in this case, it took Allen. That makes sense. Yeah. In the other league, I had the 103 and I had to beg eventually with the 103. So that was tough. It took 2 weeks for me to get him.
Okay.
And the guy really dug his heels in. But the deal was all about London.
Yeah.
So really, really tough to get London right now. And I've got him in 2 out of 3 leagues. So just like really happy to see what happens there. I'll be really disappointed if he like regresses at all, but I'll be fine if he like stays where he's at in terms of his value. If he's at the 9th best wide receiver throughout the year, I'll be happy with that. If he does any better than that, I'll be elated about it.
Oh yeah, and I think he will be. I think his value is only going up. Like, I would not be shocked if he's like in that category with like Amon-Ra St. Brown and like basically in that tier of like people differ on like with their rankings, but like if let's say you have Chase and Jefferson as like that top tier, but then there's that next tier of like Neighbors, Lamb, St. Brown, Brian Thomas, all those guys. Like I think London could be right in that tier. At this time of year from now. So like, I love this trade for your team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was just saying, I would like to see the numbers of like ADOT and stuff like that for London, because this is a big play bonus league, which I know I've been big into it. I wonder how many big plays he had or what his ADOT was, because I bet it went up with Penix. Getting more targets and just like, I feel like they could just run I have no proof of this, but I feel like that offense would just flow differently with London working more downfield with Penix in there. Could be wrong, but
Penix throws a really wonderful deep ball. Like as a UW fan, I've watched Penix throw like a lot of deep balls to McMillan and Odunze and Polk. Like it's just flies out of his hand effortlessly if he has the blocking. Like, so with a guy with that kind of electric arm, I just think it's a really good spot. Like, I just can't wait to see what happens for an entire year. And so, yeah, I mean, those are some of the reasons why I'm willing to go, because he's in the right situation. You know what I mean? Like with Kirk all year, I'd be a little bit hesitant. I really would, because like you said, with the depth of target, you really need a guy who can hurl the ball like down the field, like effortlessly all year long. So, I was gonna say like, I think it's funny that like I've never been able to get guys like Allen in any of my leagues, and then I take over 2 orphans, and I end up with Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen and
Right.
high draft picks. I'm just like, why do these guys give up these teams? You know, like
Right.
it's
Right.
just kind of interesting.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, nice couple of quarterbacks to inherit there. So yeah, especially I mean on this team, thankfully it wasn't as in bad a shape as the other orphan that you took over. So yeah, I'm glad that you'll at least have I think you'll be able to turn this one around sooner. So I'm happy for
Yeah.
you that you don't have like 2 complete disasters on your hand here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I can't wait to see what happens with like this trade. Next year, hopefully for Dan's sake, Allen, destroys Hurts there, and London has an ACL, but we'll see. Or on the other side, but of course Keon Coleman is a big play guy. I'm extremely low on him, though this is the league to own him in, and I was just hyping up some Marshawn Lloyd to Dan randomly because I did an underdog draft today, and I couldn't figure out how I got him at like literally like the last pick of the draft in round 20, because they like extend it 2 rounds. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I know I'm not like, I don't have much data here to say anything good about him, and no one does. But like, no one had that about Kyron Williams, and I'm not saying he's the next Kyron Williams. I'm just saying like, he's following the exact same path of like this guy might actually be again like people were taking him in the second round of rookie drafts last year. He might actually still be that valuable if he survives the draft. Of course, that is also factored in. But he's also pretty much free right now. So I kind of like, I don't think I even own a Lloyd.
Oh, really?
I don't think I do at all. So like, I'm going to go try and, maybe get some scared guys and just try to get them for free. Because that's what you should be getting them for, like, with the market right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it even makes sense, though, because like we actually haven't seen him fail. He had like an appendix and these other injuries. So he's a really interesting running back. Because we've been talking a lot about a lot of your 2 running backs. Like he fits the bill to me, and he's not even projected to score any points. So he's kind of like a fun guy to get on some teams.
He actually has the excuse of why I didn't produce in year 1. So it's like it's kind of weird how like the market just like completely like abandons a guy like that when he actually has a legitimate excuse. But it does create a great opportunity for value if you're willing to look at the context a little deeper and like, wait a minute, like this guy didn't even really have a chance. It was just kind of like a injury plagued season. But if he's healthy, like he could be interesting. So yeah, like I that was the last piece of this trade. Like I asked Joey if he would do a Lloyd Condre swap, and I just feel like I needed that one little extra, as trivial as it sounds, just to kind of put me over the top and kind of justify this deal. So that's what got it done here is getting Lloyd thrown in there just for fun.
I was curious to hear what Blake thinks and you too, Dan, about Marshawn Lloyd versus Kendre Miller, because I really didn't have an opinion. If you remember, Dan, I was like, sure, whatever.
Right. Yeah, you didn't care. Yeah.
Instantly, I was like, yeah, man, like, okay, like whatever you want. Like, I don't really care, one versus the other, to be honest.
Yeah, most people would just see those 2 players as the same, but like
market says they're the same.
Yeah, but Blake and I, like, we love Condre as a prospect, but like 2 years in now, he just can't stay healthy, can't get on the field. For me, it's kind of like time to give up. I mean, I still own like 1 or 2 shares, I think. So like, I still love him as a talent. If he can stay healthy, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he did something at some point. But like, I'm just kind of out though. Like, if someone's willing to give me like, certainly a third, but even probably a fourth, like I'm willing out. But like, I don't blame someone for still, clinging to him. Like, in most cases, I would, but I think I've maybe wisened up a little bit where like I'm willing to like let go at some point of the player that I love, but I still love him as a talent.
Yeah, I just actually sold off because I have so much Condre Miller. Because again, I thought the tape, like he got drafted while hurt. He didn't even test, and he was still a 3rd round pick. Like there's so much to love about, like just as far as like everything about his profile. And I just sent him for like 27th, 3rd in the league, and I'm like, man, I'm pretty shocked I could get that just because like it's grim. I'm probably just gonna keep like riding him till he's dead because there's just like nothing you can get for him. But like, here's the difference between Lloyd. Even though I like Miller more than Lloyd technically, I still would rather have Lloyd simply because we actually haven't, like I mentioned, seen him fail. Like he just has like 4 touches or even less in history. Where Miller, it's just like he could truly get a replacement. So could Lloyd, but like I think it makes more sense because Miller's now going his 3rd year. He's shown he's been unreliable with health, and yada yada yada.
Also
but,
with Kamara being like older, like at least older than Jacobs, like the Saints feel like a lot more likely to draft a running back this year. So that could kind of potentially nuke Condre. But I mean, who knows? Like
they could end up being the exact same person. Is kind of like the big thing, and the market says so. I just would rather have the guy that like can just kind of come out of nowhere and like have that year 2 breakout or whatever it is, and just like the market's like, oh shoot, like wait, why was he worth like nothing again? Just because he missed his rookie season? I don't know. I've seen it happen a few times, so I like that profile.
Miller's seen the field a little bit, and he just hasn't shown anything really, is what it sounds like. Is that right?
Well, no, I mean
he did. That's the weird part.
He had a couple decent stat lines, like a couple decent, like, oh yeah, like there's something, but like he just gets injured like immediately.
And Dennis Allen, like oh my goodness, I don't even get me started about that. I was like looking where to bet for Dennis Allen to get fired, and sure enough, he did. I never ended up placing a bet, but like I was probably yapping Dan's ear off about Dennis Allen last year about the whole Condre Miller.
He hated Condre. He basically put him on IR, even though he like wasn't even injured. Like it was like insane. He made this like unilateral move, and like from what I read recently, like the Saints were like really mad at him for doing that.
Yeah, I don't know if people even know that. I read that in an article, and I think I sent it to Dan. Like that was a legitimate thing that happened that the old coach disclosed. Condre Miller, it was a 1-week injury, and then they put him on IR, or Dennis Allen did, because and then he got fired. I think the next week. So
is that like tampering or something like that? Technically.
I don't know, but they probably even played into like him getting fired, just as far as like this guy is with ego and
he's kind of a loose cannon.
Yeah, I could. Anyways, so Miller, like I would, man. I don't know if I'll ever completely give up a Miller, but it's kind of like you can have like the guy that just like has an easier path to like people liking him. If he has a week, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation about like those kind of running backs.
Yeah,
I don't typically like coaches that wear visors. There's something about a coach that wears a visor that I'm like, questionable decision, right?
I love it.
We need to get some like analytics on that, man. We got to dive in and like
data on that.
What's the position to target from them? What are the archetypes? Is it these rookie running backs? Like we fading the rookie running backs from visor teams?
If you're gonna wear like a hand cut hoodie like Belichick, that's OG. That's how you know you're good at what you do and you don't care what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're gonna wear like a flat bill hat, like Kyle there in San Francisco, okay, I can go with that too. Like that's the kind of hat I would wear. I immediately recognize that, and I'm like, okay, this guy's cool. But the visors, when I see those, I'm like, I just don't know, man.
Yeah, something about the visor.
I guess so.
Right.
Peyton, we got some issues with Sean Payton. Although he's had a long career and there's some ups and downs. But recently, I feel like I've not liked Sean Payton too much, especially for fantasy, especially those running backs. But
not to mention like not playing Marvin Mims like a decent snap share. So we got a lot of issues with Sean Payton for fantasy.
Don't even get me started about Dennis Allen. That dude. Where is he now? What team is he on? I know he's got to be on one. I gotta look him up here. I'm avoiding all the players.
So then, can you, as a Seahawks fan, can you give me any encouragement about our new offensive coordinator? Then, if you were kind of like paying attention.
Oh yeah, we got the guy from the Saints. What was his name? But I think that's interesting. I think that could be really good for the running back. Because like we saw like what a great year Kamara had, especially like begin the season, like before the Saints kind of unraveled. Like Kamara was just like, oh my god, he had that like one absurd, what was it, like a 40-point game, like in like week 2 or 3 or something like that. I think that makes like Kenneth Walker really interesting, maybe even Charbonnet, although I think Joshy was saying that like he doesn't think Charbonnet fits like the system as well. So I was hearing theories that like Charbonnet gets traded to the Raiders to play with his old coaches and Pete Carroll and his old college coach, what's his name, Chip Kelly. So
Yep.
that would be kind of
Yep.
interesting. Maybe Kenny McIntosh moves up the depth chart. You know, I certainly wouldn't mind that for my 6 shares.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. By the way, yeah, he was the Vikings pass game coordinator. I'm a Vikings fan, but I recall like they had a pretty good year, and then I think he got hired then he got hired with the Niners, then the Saints, and so on. So
Yes.
it seems, yeah, I like Kubiak a lot, and now you're getting the Darnold Kubiak connection because they spent a year in San Fran, so I mean that could be fun.
Yeah. It's the Shanahan tree, and it's the Kubiak offensive running zone, the zone running scheme.
Yep.
So look, I love the way that the 49ers have managed to run the ball. There's something about the 49ers offensive scheme that's just like, it just seems effortless. Like they just have like wide open wide receivers and tight ends. You know, like I could have some of that in my life. It's just, it's been a while since we've had that kind of offense in Seattle, so that would be cool.
Oh yeah, you watched like I think it was Monday Night Football Week 1. It was like Jets versus Niners. The Niners are just like effortlessly doing everything on offense, and the Jets are just like basically I'm throwing it back shoulder to Garrett Wilson and praying he comes down with it because we can't do anything else. Like, it's just hilarious to see how opposite it is and how hard some teams make it look on offense compared to the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, coaching definitely matters. So,
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in Seattle. The weird thing, though, is that, like, they trade DK Metcalf, they bring in Cooper Kupp, so now they have, like, 2 slot receivers, but yet they're talking about they're going to be running, like, more, like, 12 personnel with only, like, 2 receivers on the field. But yet they're both slot receivers. So, like, it seems kind of like a weird fit, so I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like. And then you have the X factor with Darnold is like, okay, is he more of, like, what he did for the Vikings last year or, you know, everything before that? So, like, I think Seattle is going to be a fascinating team in terms of, like, I just really not sure what to expect.
Same. I just cannot wait to see it. I'm just like very intrigued.
Yeah, I don't think we actually have a Sam Darnold share in like a co-managed team, and it's not like we don't believe in Sam Darnold, but like I mean I am personally too, like I love only just like not even having a QB3 on my teams and just rocking them a bunch of backups like as my QB3 or handcuffs, and like we sent out an offer that was like we were like giving away Darnold for free, but like we were getting assets that were like sneaky good. It was like a 3-for-1, but it looked really good on paper for the other manager, and it's like we couldn't even. And the guy even said he did. One of them was Jalen McMillan, and the guy he didn't even want him at all. Like, sorry, he told me he didn't like Jalen McMillan at all, so we added him in the deal, and then he wouldn't even do it. It was just like ridiculous. So I don't know what the market is for Darnold. We might have to just bet on him, which I think he can succeed. He'll be an interesting one.
Okay, so this is going to be a little painful because I've had some serious regrets about this one.
Okay, so Nashville,
I think
recognize.
this might be my biggest mistake that I've ever made.
Okay, let's see. So let me take a look at this then. So we got basically I'm just looking. It's CD Lamb for the 102. Call it Freiermuth and the 202. I'd say it's pretty much that's the deal. You know, you have some pick swaps that it don't really matter. You know, like the 210 for the second, the 304 for the 302, 102, 202 Freiermuth, and this is a non-tight end premium. So yeah, I'm pretty.
Oh this is the 2 PPR for tight ends.
Oh, this is 2 PPR. Okay, so Freiermuth is much more valuable at least. Okay, and these first and seconds. Okay, so I'm like Dan knows I'm the big like. If I have basically CeeDee Lamb, Neighbors, Jefferson, and Chase end of list, though Puka and stuff could add to that list, I'm not selling them at all. Basically, like it's gotta be like 102, and then we gotta start talking like 1.7 at least, like something like that. So from that angle, yeah, like I'd much rather keep CeeDee Lamb. Though I haven't even checked your team out yet. You get a lot of picks this year to work with, and you get a tight end and tight end premium if you need them or whatever. You maybe flip. So I mean, it's light, but I do like the 202 this year a lot. So
yeah, that was part of it for me. I just like I just I keep looking at this and I just can't believe that I didn't demand at least another first. I just don't know what headspace I was in, man. I really don't know where I was when I made this trade, and I know that it just sounds ridiculous, but
Yeah.
that's just the truth. I don't know what happened. It's just really bad when I look at it, you know?
I'm gonna look
That's
at
the
your
truth.
team. I'm gonna look at your team real quick, but here's what I'll say about.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
nearly as bad as you think. And the reason I say that is if you're in a position where you're not competing this year, so what I'm looking at right now is I'm assuming you're not trying to compete, right? Oh
No,
yeah.
not really. Yeah.
Well, the good thing is if as long as you kind of make that move, there could be a really good value at 202 that you pick, but also if there's a really good player there, you could easily send that for the 26 first of someone that thinks they're competing next year. You might get something on top, kind of like how I just said. I traded the 201 last year into Hunter Henry in the 102. That's the kind of deal where if you just get that off, now you're in business. Now you got more than enough for CD
Right.
Lamb.
And not to mention, think of what you can do with the 102. I mean,
Yeah.
something,
That too.
Joey, that Blake and I constantly talk about is this analogy of the Russian doll, where you open up the doll and there's another doll in it, and then you open up that doll and there's a smaller doll in that. That's what you can do with the 102. You can just keep
Yeah.
trading back a pick or two at a time and just keep acquiring picks, acquire, the Trey Bensons of the world, and just keep, accumulating value. And then at some point, even let's say you traded all the way back to the 112, and then trade that 112 for the 26 first of a really crappy manager that you're wanting to bet against. And then maybe like Blake said, you're able to do the same thing with that 202. I mean, you could really exponentially multiply those assets into a ton. So even though you lost the deal on value a bit, it could still work out in your favor if you play your cards right. So, and you get the points off your roster with Lamb. So I definitely think you can land the plane here. So I wouldn't worry about it that much. I mean, I did kind of a similar deal where I love Marvin Harrison, but I inherited a really crappy orphan, and I traded him for the 103 and the 203. And even though I would probably rather have Marvin Harrison than those picks, I think as a rebuilder, I think I can do more with those picks, on the clock, taking advantage of rookie fever, trading back a pick or two at a time, and just kind of Russian dolling it. So I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, here's one question I have, because I have never been on the clock with a first round pick.
Ooh, okay.
Other than when I traded in to get the 109.
Okay.
So this is new for me. So the question is it as simple as you just sit there and wait? or is there
let people
some
know
things you
that
can do?
you're looking to you're open to the pick is on the board, you're accepting offer, you're entertaining offers, you're working the phones, and so let people know that you're open for business first of all. Say that
you could even add, you could be like, oh, I got my guy, but I'm open to some offers, kind of thing, I mean, sometimes that's just the truth, is you got your guy ready to pick, but you're not making that pick until you've exhausted every option. And it kind of is a simple, once you're on there, it's really dependent is what I'll say. There was one where just before Dan joined, at least, it was blood, sweat, and beers. There was no trades. I couldn't tear back from anything, though I had seconds. I had traded already out of the first pre-draft. And you might get in a league like that, but Dan's in these leagues, so I doubt that's gonna happen. There's gonna be other people in the leagues. People want those rookies badly, and if where there's a will, there's a way. So something like that 2-0, I think I did that a couple times actually, where I traded those early seconds into 26 first. That was notably my really good one. Where I get the 102 out of it. But people want these picks a lot. And I think that's how you get out of this deal is I think the best way to kind of articulate this deal is I don't even think it's that bad of a deal. I think what you did is you turned basically 3 assets into 6 on a rebuilding team, which is awesome. And now you've got a bunch of really flexible assets to trade around, and you could end up just dummying this deal by this time next year. If you make the right moves, if you keep just trading back and basically doing the Russian doll approach, you're not competing anyways. Try to get as many assets out of CeeDee Lamb as possible here.
Yeah.
So
I do think the AD Mitchell, a lot of the content I watched reviewing his tape, all the missed opportunities, like a lot of it was like being described as like unprecedented levels of missed opportunities that were
there,
there in terms of like his levels of separation with just disgusting missed throws. And so I think that he was a really sneaky um, you know, wide receiver to grab in this trade. I like buying him as a throw in. I think Muth is, a productive wide receiver. I might be
he's
able
valuable in
for
this
tight
format.
end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a starter. He's like a everyday week starter in this format.
Yeah, and you needed a tight end. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess maybe you didn't need one if you're rebuilding, but it doesn't hurt to add him. And who knows? Like if Muth has a nice season, you could always like sell him in season, or you could just like
right.
keep him and use him as like your tight end of the future, or whatever. He's still fairly young. So yeah, I think you'll be able to make this work for you. Like I don't think it's as bad as
I think it's I think it's fine looking at all this in your situation. And by the way, Coop's in here. So what's up, Coop?
Nice.
He's a Seahawks fan, by the way.
Yeah.
So he was mentioning something about Seahawks there. But
yeah, good to have you here, Cooper. Yeah, we've been. I love that, Blake. You, me, and Cooper. We've kept that like 3-way group chat going on Sleeper, and ever since we had Cooper on the live stream, and we've just been using that to just like randomly share or whatever like recent trade we made and like get the feedback from the other two. So that's been a lot of fun. So yeah, great to have
we gotta get that going with Joey because I haven't even talked to Joey until the stream tonight. So
right. Yeah,
I've been seeing the trades like here and there because you guys have been making
sucker.
so many.
Yeah.
We'll fire one up. And hey, Coop says if that's the worst trade you've ever made, then he's in big trouble. So he said that's a great deal for Lamb and his opinion. Oh, but no, okay, I see. He then said, "Oh wait, you lost Lamb," and he said, "I'd much rather have Lamb." But like we just covered, yeah,
That's
I think
hilarious. Yeah, Blake. Yeah, I saw you walking right into that one.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, no, I mean, like we just covered. Yeah, you probably. I think that's a lesson learned. You probably could have got more for Lamb. How much more? I don't know. Just because it can be hard, right?
It was my first time. It was my first time in a orphan.
Yeah.
And I had just moved Alan, and for some reason I was in this like mindset of thinking I had lost that trade.
Okay.
Which, it sounds like I did great on that trade. So I mean, I really kind of like lost my mojo. It sounds like for a moment there. It's just kind of interesting, like life gets kind of chaotic. I've got a baby in one hand, I've got my phone in the other, I'm making dinner, and I just want to make trades because I'm escaping from life, while I'm on Sleeper. So, I'm just making excuses for myself now, but I
think sometimes you just
had a better point to me.
I think sometimes you just get in this mode where like you make one deal and like you want to chase that high and like get that dopamine rush again, and then you end up like making something that you're kind of forcing a little bit. So like sometimes you just got to like put the phone down and like what, if the deal isn't right, it isn't right. You don't have to make it. But I think you could have done a lot worse than this.
I remember where I was on this. Okay, so like for me, some of those assets I really am high on. So like. For me, the 102 is in a tier where I'm almost as high on the 102 as I am on like the 10th pick in the first round.
Yeah.
That's just me. So I kind of was like, I know I'm not supposed to, but I was kind of like viewing that 202 almost like a late first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then I really like AD Mitchell because of the research I was doing on him. And then I'm just like, generally speaking, really high on seconds because I'm in rebuild mode and I need to collect them at all costs. So like I just like accumulatively put all that together and somehow lost this trade.
No, yeah. Again, it's not that bad because like if you view land as worth like like let's say 3 random first, you can probably turn the 202 into random first, and you can easily turn the 102 into 2 random first. So boom, there's your value for Lamb. You could argue that you got Fryermuth and AD Mitchell for free. So like there are different ways you can look at the trade where it's really not bad at all.
Yeah, exactly. You might not have like the winning side just yet, but like you said, I view the 202 as like a late first anyways. So like really you're just like a deal away from being like, okay, yeah, if you just turn that into a 26 first, even just straight up, now you're telling me you have a random 26 first and a
Yeah.
102 and all this. There
But
is nothing wrong with that.
I do think it's inexcusable though if you just consider the fact that like I could have worked a little bit harder, or maybe not even worked hard at all and gotten a much better deal. So like it's really inexcusable, honestly. Like not
Yeah.
to like beat
Well,
myself
yeah, I mean,
up, but like I
yeah.
just could have done so much better.
That's
You
like the
know,
lesson is
that's the truth of it.
yeah, because you had Lamb, you could have gotten a better deal technically and really ran away with it, which is kind of the deal that you want when you're giving away a Lamb.
Right.
But I mean, that's I think the lesson learned. I did that with Josh Allen my first year playing, and I mean, I still got a great deal, but it wasn't. It was a 4-point passing touchdown league. I didn't get like the Josh Allen package that I should have gotten.
Yeah.
Like I should have been like pounding the table for everything, you know.
Yeah, because
For sure.
when you're moving the asset like that, that's the time where you can kind of get greedy. It's like, I want this thrown in, I want that thrown in. Like,
But
you're
did.
in the catbird seat
Yeah.
here. Like, you're in the position of power. You have all the leverage of the deal. You have like that one piece that like everyone wants. So like that's the time you can kind of get on your high horse and get a little greedy there. So I definitely think it's a good lesson learned. And the other good thing that's always good to ask yourself before you hit accept on any trade or even send an offer, ask yourself, is this the best I can get for the pieces I'm trading away? So like, is this the best I can get for Lamb? If the answer is probably not, I could probably get something more than this from another manager. Shop it around. Like, you don't have to trade him to the first guy that expresses interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I had just watched some content about how some think that Hampton at the 102, like there's a possibility that Hampton is like the 1B to Genty, that like he might out the gate in the right opportunity just like really, really show up big day one, look amazing. And if he did, like, let's say I just take Hampton. This is kind of what I was thinking. I just take Hampton, and Hampton through 3 weeks just looks and has a little bit more production than Genty. What is that going to do to his value, right? Like that was kind of my thought.
It's like the neighbors Marv thing potentially.
Yes.
If he's a first round back, right? Like that's the big thing. Which it sounds like he could be.
Yeah, I mean the hit rate for running backs taken in the first round of the NFL draft is very high. So I can see your philosophy on that. For me personally, I would be looking to trade back like in almost any scenario. I mean unless like everyone's lowballing you, but I doubt that happens. Like there's always someone that's willing to like overpay to like move up and take that hot player that that's going at the 102 or whatever. Travis Hunter could be really interesting as well if he goes to the Browns, which is looking more and more likely.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, either you get a boatload for someone trading for it, or worst case you stick and pick the player and then just bet on them increasing in value. I'd be more looking to trade the pick, but yeah, there are multiple ways to win it.
I agree with everything you said.
Worst case.
I agree with everything you said about Hampton, like, and especially worst case, like kind of like he's like the 102 or something. But yeah, now there's Travis Hunter, and I'll 1C you. I think Travion Henderson can be the RB1 in this class, like. Surely. And the best part about him is if Hunter and Ward and Tet get in there, like there are drafts where as long as he's basically, I mean, I'm a little afraid he might go to the Bears, which like I would love, but like it would be scary from a fantasy point because he might then actually be the 102. Or I want to get him in every league basically, and there's a chance I don't start getting him like at the 104 and beyond, which you can do right now technically. I think Henderson has like the skill set to be an absolute monster. So that's like a little fun one, especially if Hunter gets in there. Because I own a couple 102s. I'm gonna be looking to get a gauge on where Trayvon Henderson is going. Analyze post draft, their landing spots, etc., and see how much on top I can get from maybe if Hampton stays as 102, which he probably will, to then go to. Where Henderson should be picked or whatever, right? Like, I think that's a fun way to down tier if you need some value on top.
I completely agree. I just watched his highlights again the other night, and I bumped him up a little bit in my mind as well. He's just so explosive.
Dude, the feeling I'm having is like, so I ended up trading off of all my Marv and Caleb, and I love those guys, and I mean, I still do, though I was expressing, I think I expressed a little bit of concern for both players, though I really did consider taking Caleb in our last startup, like late in the second, but I thought it was a fine deal. I was really high, especially on Jaden Daniels, and I ended up talking Dan, and I think, into drafting him in a league, and I got him a couple leagues. Like, I'm having that same feeling, I guess, like we were talking about, like, intuition stuff, where it's like, I have that strong of a feeling for Trayvon Henderson that, like, you could take him 101. Like, I'm not saying no one should do that. Like, do not do that. But, like, you could take him, okay, like, let's call it 102. And, like, that's the right pick. That's, like, the Malik Neighbors versus Marv thing. Like, I don't know what it is. I just have that. And I've been feeling that for, I remember very early on, like, one of our first streams back, I mentioned, like, Henderson, that there's something about him. He's going to be the can't miss pick. I think we were talking about Dan and I mentioned Igbuka as well. Those are kind of like, I don't know. Henderson, I really couldn't be any higher on.
Do you guys have a hard time with Hampton sometimes? Like, sometimes I watch his film and I don't see 4.3 speed. I see him getting caught by people, and it's just like really killing me lately.
Yes.
This is Dan's words.
Blake and I have talked about this so much. Like,
though this is the speed. I looked it up. This is called the speed size illusion or something like that.
Okay.
And basically what it is, and I've noticed this with Dan, because he loves, like, the really short, really fast players, but the thing is, like, they're not actually faster than these taller players. They're actually the same speed, or even the other guys are faster. For example, Caleb Johnson, the way he strides, he looks faster, but he isn't, for example. And whereas Hampton, because he's so tall, the way that we look is because his strides are so efficient, he actually looks slower, though I knew what you mean, because I saw him and Caleb Johnson both get caught a bunch of times on runs that were, say, 50 yards plus. Though I did notice when I was watching replays back, there were a ton of 40-plus yard ones where, like, he's breaking tackles all the way downfield. He's finding a way to get in the end zone, so I think, like, I could see exactly what you're talking about, and at the same time, he tests, like, he passes, like, the speed tests, miles per hour on the field as well.
I have an interesting theory. I'll chip in. Remind me to say it after Dan. After you say it. After you say your piece on Omarion.
Yeah. Although I just wanted to give a quick counter argument to Blake's thing about the speed size illusion. How many miles per hour does a mouse run? Do you think it's very fast?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? Yeah, a few miles per hour maybe. You know, have you ever tried to catch a mouse? Like, good luck trying to catch a mouse. So, like, my theory is that, like, if you are smaller, your speed is more effective because, like, it's sort of hard to put into words, but, like, just like you know, it would be trying to catch a mouse, like, it's just, like, not in the same place, like, one moment the next, like, so quickly because it's so small.
You know who that mouse is?
I don't know. It's a weird analogy.
You know who that mouse is, though? That's Trayvon Henderson.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's why I'm so high on him, you know?
Exactly. So I'm saying, like, even though, like, you may be right, it's an illusion, and, like, Hampton actually is fast, like, I don't think the speed is as effective if you're bigger, because you're still going to, like, you know, you're still going to get caught just because, like, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. But anyways, but my feelings on Hampton, yes, Joey, I felt the exact same way watching his tape. I mean, it looks like he's, like, running in molasses. I mean, it's just like, oh, like, this guy looks, like, painfully slow. He looks like one of, like, the slowest running backs I've ever seen. But then you look at his 40 time. So, yeah, it's probably a bit of an illusion. But I do think speed is more effective when you're small. Like, I mean, look at, like, Darren Sproles. Like, it wasn't just quickness. Like, I don't know. There's just something about being small.
It's the elusiveness, the shiftiness, and that's what makes, you know, Trayvon Henderson, like, he's truly the more, like, fast twitch player than, even though, you know, somehow Hampton's, like, just as fast. He does, you know, I get what you mean exactly. Yeah. So what were you gonna say, Joey?
I think my theory is that he's just getting gassed because he's got so much muscle on his frame that there's a couple plays where he's maybe carried the ball, you know, 3 or 4 carries in too short a time frame, and then he breaks one off and he's just gassed. To me, he looks like a big heavyweight fighter who's gassed, and that's why he looks so slow. He's actually, on that play, he was freaking slow.
Yeah, it's possible, because
what it looks
when you're taking that many touches,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might be onto something there because what I did notice, like when I watch Hampton's like a highlight reel from college on YouTube, is like for the most part he looked like slow as hell, perhaps through the illusion or whatever. But there were occasionally like a few plays mixed in there where all of a sudden I was like, oh man, like there's that
Yes.
speed,
Yes.
So like
Exactly.
I think he has it in him. Maybe he just needs to like condition better, or
That's
I
what
don't
I
know.
saw too, man.
Yeah,
To
maybe there's
me,
some way that he can like bring that more consistently through like making some changes
yeah.
in his training or diet or who knows what.
Maybe it's
Or
the split, right? Like I don't know. I'm not familiar with. I got to assume he had basically every touch in that backfield. You know what I mean? As far as a workhorse in college could do. In the NFL, that doesn't normally happen, though he should profile as a workhorse. It could be something like that where, he's not getting 30 touches, he's getting 20 or something. Maybe that could make a huge difference.
maybe he's not as gassed in that scenario. So
but I'll say I'd rather have more touches than be able to like randomly bust that one, thing to the end zone. I don't care about that. Give him 30 touches over 20. I mean, that would be better.
I also think he's probably kind of like a Derrick Henry type where he doesn't really have the acceleration, but once he gets that head of steam, like, he can break off the long touchdowns. So, like, I think that's kind of the way I'm thinking of him is just like, even though he's not exactly like how I want a running back to look when I watch him, like, I'm just thinking like Derrick Henry. Like, that's...
what's funny, though? His 10-yard split is very, very good. It's actually just off elite. So it would say, the testing says that's not true is all. Right, I was actually looking very hard into the 10-yard splits and stuff with running backs, and Caleb Johnson has one of the worst ones, which is very interesting. Like, the thing is, he's fast, but it takes him, like, he's the guy that needs a head of steam to get going, which seems so weird. But by the way, they're like the same size, Hampton and Caleb Johnson, like down to like 2 pounds, and there's like a quarter of an inch or something between them, or less than an inch. And Hampton, how does he look like he's 30 pounds more than Caleb Johnson? Like, is that just me?
Yeah, I think it has... Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, please.
No, I saw an interview with Caleb Johnson, and he was like sitting next to a pretty small guy, and he just doesn't look big. I think he just has like a skinny face and a skinny neck, and it's like it's just like a body thing. You know what I mean? It's just like the way his body wears it. It's just weird.
It's like Travis Etienne.
Yeah,
Travis Etienne's a massive running back by NFL terms, and he looks like he's just this little scat guy. He does not look big on the field.
Etienne is massive?
Etienne is like 215, let's see, height and weight, or something.
I never thought of Etienne as a big back.
And because I was shocked. He's 215 pounds, 5'10", but for 215, 5'10", that's pretty big for how he looks. He does not look like that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I swear, like, I feel like Caleb Johnson looks faster on tape. So it's just weird how, that the 40 times and the measurables like don't always match up with that. But yeah, I'm willing to like. I'm not saying I like love Hampton, but like I think I'm kind of slowly coming around him a little bit. But like I'm also not afraid to go against like consensus. But jury's still kind of out. I haven't like made a final decision on how I'm valuing Hampton, but I think to our point, to the point of our conversation, there are a lot of intriguing options at that 102. I don't think it's Hampton or nothing. Like Travis Hunter, Henderson. Like I think there'd be a lot of interesting guys there.
Yeah, oh yeah. We've been talking around, like you were saying. Okay, maybe come around on Hampton a bit. I am coming a bit around on Travis Hunter, and I think like a little too much because it was never a doubt. Like he's, okay, if we know he's playing receiver, he's the wide receiver one, no doubt. But the thing is like, okay, what are the odds of that? I've been doing some digging, and I think I'm just buying some of this our fantasy football optimism. But like, I'm feeling pretty good that he could be a receiver. But at the same time, while I'm saying that, like, I know deep down, like, okay, that's not actually like true. That's just like some optimism and like wanting that to happen for our drafts. But the Browns thing makes sense, and the Shedeur is potentially falling. I don't think he's a second overall pick. I think he could be the second pick, and it makes sense. He'd be a receiver on the Browns. So I'm kind of coming around on him to be in a receiver.
Yeah, same here. So, but yeah, let's break down this next trade. Okay. So yeah, this is the one where I get Terry McLaurin from Joey here. I also got the 302 kickback, but I gave Joey the 110, and I guess I threw in the 407. and as well as Jared Wiley. But basically, it's the 110 for McLaurin and the 302.
Yeah, I mean, if I have Terry McLaurin and I'm in Joey's position, I'm loving this deal. You know, I know that people. It's funny. I've gotten like 3 offers this season for like Terry McLaurin for my 107, and it's just like I couldn't reject it harder. So, I mean, yeah, McLaurin, he's been early second in value the last few years. Like he had this good year finally. Just cash out on it. Get your 110. But from a competing standpoint of Dan, okay, you get McLaurin off his best year. Maybe you don't really care about his age. Okay, it's a deep class of running back. I'd be thinking in my head, oh, maybe I can get a running back at 302 and try to whatever, take down the steal and get a player that is much more valuable than that pick. Whatever your frame of thinking is with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, my thinking was just like, you know what? Like, I'm just like so completely in win now mode. And plus, like, I had just traded away Drake London, so this was just kind of like a convenient way to kind of like, fill in that spot, in case like Keon Coleman doesn't like break out in year 2. So it was like, yeah, it just seemed to like perfectly complement the last deal that I made with Joey. Yeah, like rather than like waiting around on a rookie or whatever, just give me Terry McLaurin. I also think he'll be good with the big play bonuses.
Yes, yeah.
So it's like, I wouldn't have done it straight up, but like, hey, you kick me back an early third, like that'll work. So I thought that was a win-win deal.
Yeah, I like the Wiley throw in, I don't think I own any of them, but like you at least get a player and a tight end in this format. And you get the 407, and you were saying something about, the Puka, and like I've been hearing it too much, just like, that fourth, it's worth nothing. Dude, like send me all your fourths then. Like I want every single, I've been taking the 5 in our league with 5 rounds. I've seen you had some fifths, Joey. I have like 4 fifths or something, or 3 fifths in there. And, like, I'm already, like, I'm the biggest, like, I'll spend all my fab after the rookie draft is, like, basically my strategy. And to get the top players. And, you end up I got lucky with Garendo because we drafted the day that the NFL draft ended in one. Tracy was in that one, but I missed on him because he was, like, 50% fab. Vidal, I got Vidal.
By doing the draft early, there were, like, 3 really premium players that didn't get drafted in the rookie draft somehow because like people just hadn't like adjusted yet. We did it the same day that we did it on day 3 of the draft wasn't even over yet in the rookie draft, so it was kind of wild.
So those fifths and stuff, like those are valuable. Like those are really valuable, especially if you get some time between the draft where you get to identify those like sleepers like Puka, for example. I got Puka twice for 36 fab, which was sick. And I mean, like, I love, like, the 4th kickback, so, like, I think that's, like, well done, this deal, is, like, make sure you get a pick back for your 302 in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's, like, that's the biggest mistake I see new Dynasty managers making, is, like, not fighting for the 4th, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
because like, a lot of times you can just, like, if you're giving away that, like, extra pick in the deal, like, get a later one kicked back to kind of, like, even it out. Like, it's always nice when you can, like, get back as many picks as you're giving away. So like you're sending like a third, like, hey, will they kick back a 4th? Like try to like even it out.
And if you're gonna ask for somebody's worst asset, they're never gonna accuse you for being nickel and diming them. Like you're asking for the worst asset. Like that's okay. Like no one's gonna get offended by that. They're almost always gonna say, okay, fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the bigger you go up in deal, like if you're dealing Jalen Hurts, no one's gonna, complain about whatever, like a late 3rd or a 4th round pick. And my favorite one is like, okay, if I think it's just like pushing a little too much, like something in this year, like I'll go to 2027 and I'll try to get like a 2027 3rd or something because no one cares about that. And like some of my leagues, I'm stacking up the 3rd round in 2027 already. Like I might have them all 12 of them by the time it comes. So. This is
if one of those becomes the first pick in the 3rd round, like that's huge. That's huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's a huge deal between both of you, of course. Wow, I gotta take a look at this and remember what. So this is tight end premium. All right.
Yeah.
How do we break this down here? This is Hurts for Love, a 1st. And a 302, and I guess kind of like a swap. Well, maybe like Lad This is like confusing to look at for some reason for me.
I think it's more of like Hurts for, I don't know, it would be Hurts for
For
Lad and
Lad?
Love. It'd be perfect, but like,
Okay.
yeah, I'm trying to remember the way I broke it
Oh.
down.
Yeah, Hurts for Latin Love. I like that. And then Brown for the first and a 302. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good way to break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
this is not a trade for everyone. I think there's a lot of people that look at this trade and have strong feelings about it. Okay, on one side or the other. So this is like one of those trades where I think this is what is great about Dynasty, right? And I think, did we get a strong reaction in the chat on this one? I can't remember, but this is one of those trades where I know there's a lot of people that love AJ Brown, and there's a lot of people like me who just love McConkey, you know, and Dan and I both love McConkey. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, for me, I liked my side of the trade, and I know that you can look at this trade and just kind of look at the top two assets, but from my roster, it makes sense for me too, though. So I love McConkey.
looking at these deals you guys made, like, honestly, it's impressive because, like, honestly, a lot of these deals are pretty fair. Like, if I'm in one spot, I'd rather, Joey's side. But if I'm in Dan's spot, I'd rather Dan's side. Like, that's what I'm really liking about these deals. There's not really a clear winner, like, as right now in value. And if it is, it's not really by, like, that big a margin. Although I think, like, basically the one where you got London, that would be my, most lopsided one, which could be wrong because there's other parts of the deal in there, and it's a weird format. So, I mean, yeah, if I'm on Dan's side, I mean, I've already talked enough about Hurts, but I've been trying to get AJ Brown. I don't own any. And he's finally gotten to that point because, like, he's hitting age 28 that, like, all of a sudden he just dropped for no reason.
Right.
He's extremely productive. Nothing has changed, but, like, that's when I want to get AJ Brown now, right?
Right.
But now you're getting Love, you're getting McConkey, and now, like, to do that swap, you get a first and a third. I mean, my goodness, like, I like that a lot. And again, you're not competing. Like, that's the kind of deal you need to make. Like, I think this is another, like, this might be the best deal I've seen from you guys because it's such a big one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it helps your guys' team.
Do you know what I love even more about it too? Pardon the pun, is that I ended up moving Love and getting Knicks. So I got even younger. I just went quarterback. I mean, I just feel like really got some momentum behind them quarterbacks. So because I started with Allen, then I moved to Hurts, then I moved to Love, and now I've got Knicks and Penix, and I just think that's so sexy for my team. Like where,
I've been. I'll talk more about. We'll find that deal. That must not be too long, right? Like
no,
down
you
the list. Okay. Well, I guess I'll save it for when we get there. But here's another deal. I've seen this one before. Pollard basically. I don't know. It's kind of like actually, value wise, you definitely take a hit on this one. It's like kind of like Pollard for Lloyd and then Ford for Sanat. But as I just gave my case for Lloyd, you never know how this could flip. Though, immediately looking at this, I mean, I guess you probably should have got something on top. Though no one really cares about Jerome Ford.
Well, I mean, I think it's more like Pollard for Sanat in the heavy tight end premium. And then probably
that's right.
Lloyd. So that's the way I would look at it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I definitely wouldn't do that.
Honestly, like, I mean, in a format like this, like, I really wasn't dying to move Sanat. Like, I still value him pretty well. But, like, you know what? This just be like a win-win where, like, Sanat probably makes more sense on Joey's team. Pollard makes more sense on my team. So I was happy to make the swap.
Yeah. I love this if, like, Joey gets a pick thrown in. Because if he gets, like, the extra pick. Like, this is one of those trades where, like, okay, I'm losing it right now. But in 6 months, like, okay, you have the next trade. I'm not saying, the range of, you might have the next Trey McBride and the next Kyron or something. That's happened a lot of times in the history, and that's where I think you were mentioning earlier, like, you're losing deals right now. But the thing is, like, that doesn't mean you've actually lost the deal. Like, a lot of those you'll actually end up, smoking someone in. You just, we just don't know that yet, of course.
Right, in ways that you couldn't anticipate.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree with you, except for I specifically targeted Lloyd and Sanat. I was the one who initiated this trade completely, so I wasn't gonna, like, I wasn't gonna push it very far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I specifically wanted to move those two running backs. So I was kind of happy to kind of get what I got, and I
Okay.
didn't feel like I was going to be able to make a deal for those two running backs with any other teams because there's no one. If you look at the other uh, teams in this
Okay.
league, there's only like one other team that's really as stacked
Yeah.
as Dan's team. So I just doubt that any other team would be willing to make a move like that with some young assets
Yeah.
with upside for those types of assets. You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
those running backs.
there's not a lot of demand for Pollard, which is
Yeah,
why I
right.
think he's like a pretty sneaky buy for contenders. So I can see from your perspective of like, you know, if you spam out Pollard offers, like you might get lucky and just someone randomly accepts, you know, Pollard for like a late second or future second or something like that. But at the same time, he's not someone that like people are dying to trade for, you know,
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah, this is a sneak. Like this is a really fun one because yeah, I mean, kind of like the way I go about trading, especially in a deal like just like this, is like okay, I don't want to like give Pollard away, so like okay, maybe if this is all I can take, you know, maybe I end up doing this deal like this. But like you know, I'm trying to get that fourth thrown in or whatever, 27 third thrown in, and like if I get that, then it's like okay, now I'm really seeing the vision for this deal because again, yeah, Pollard and Ford are like. I mean, I actually really like both those guys this year. But in your case, you know, if they're scoring points, it's hurting you. They're not players that people are you're owning to flip really because I don't know who the hell's no one even wanted Jerome Ford when he was starting last year. I owned a bunch, and Pollard, it's probably the same thing unless he just absolutely kills it. But um, they're probably more like scoring more points than they'll ever be worth. So it's a pretty sneaky deal on your side, honestly. I like it more than I thought about it. I do wish that you got a pick, though. You explained you were the one to initiate it. Makes sense.
And plus, like, I don't think I had any force left because I already like tossed him that 407 in the McLaurin deal. So yeah, if I still had that 407 and Joey had asked for it, like yeah, like it probably wouldn't have been a deal breaker. So maybe it was just unlucky that I didn't have it anymore, or you know, for you know, from Joey's perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is nice to get that like late pick just thrown in because like you know that's what we call like getting the leverage in the deal. When you just get that little extra piece sprinkled in there of like a late pick, it can go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just went ahead and skipped the other deals that weren't that big. Penix for the 110, like I'll leave it just this, like that's a you know that's a great deal for you. You know,
Yeah.
I was really happy about that. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about that move is that you didn't even need a quarterback, but you just took the value of it, which I thought was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that deal. You get rid of Brian Robinson for, I mean, kind of the 210. That's a fair deal, and you get rid of him for the draft. Makes sense. Let's see. Maybe we'll keep moving here. I want to see this Bo Nix. Here it is. All right, so it's okay. It's just love for Nix, basically. Oh yeah, I never got to comment. What I'll say is, okay, AD Mitchell does fit the year 2 thing. I'd make an argument year 3 is what I want to consider getting in, though he doesn't cost very much, so it probably doesn't matter. If you believed in him, you could buy him now or get him thrown in. But Alec Pierce is like the gonna be the biggest nuisance ever, and I really liked AD coming out in his tape, but like now Alec Pierce is like the biggest deep threat in efficiency basically other than Marvin Mims last year. And that's exactly what AD Mitchell's good at. Like there's kind of skill sets collide. That's a big issue for me. So like even though I like AD, also another thing is there was a lot of stuff like I was reading. I was keeping track of Colts like beat reporters and stuff. They were saying that they were just like not getting enough from AD at least through most of the season. Though they did say like he took steps at the end, but like it was a lot of like alligator arms when DBs were coming at him. So like he might be a player that just needs to like kind of like truly just develop more. And like I'm gonna keep my eye closely on him. But I basically what I'm gonna say is like I love this deal for you because like I don't care about giving away AD Mitchell in this trade. I want Bo Nix for Jordan Love like all day in here.
Yep.
Yeah, I love this. Nix feels like a big upgrade from Love. I mean, I know the Packers could always start throwing the ball more. So yeah, Love's not like a terrible buy if you can get like a kind of a discount on him because they ran so much last year.
Yeah.
But Nix feels like a big upgrade.
The rushing from Nix is just like give me it. And I've really come around on Knicks. Like, not that I was ever really out as far as like this offseason, but it's like, oh man, like, you know, what do you need to give for him? Like the 102 plus, like, you know, you probably would need to if you needed a quarterback. But I'm looking at these startups and like, you know, we technically passed on him at 305 because we just got like an offer in a recent startup. We could not pass up. Like, otherwise we would have taken Knicks. And like for Dan, he ended up getting Knicks at 305 because that guy didn't even select him because we own the 304. I mean, that was just such a good deal. Like for Dan,
Yeah.
like I wish we didn't get such a good offer because we would have just taken him and, you know, been laughing. But I do think he's like truly, like, I think he should be ahead of May though. Again, we've said it many times on this channel. Love May. He should be ahead of him though. You could even argue he could be ahead of Caleb though. Again, there's some age stuff. I'm just saying off what you've seen, he just turned, Dan, you said he turned water into wine. I mean, that's kind of what I want to see from my quarterback and a guy that runs a gazillion times.
Yeah, because like, I mean, what did he have to work with? Like, you know, aging Cortland Sutton and, you know, young
Deshaun Vele,
unpolished Martin, and, you know, no tight end, you know, hodgepodge of running backs. I mean, it was such a bad situation, and yet he has this amazing rookie season. And not just the rushing upside of Knicks, but like, can you imagine if he even takes another step forward in year 2? He could be like worth 3 firsts a year from now. So like, I absolutely love Bo Nix.
Yeah. Oh, and funny enough, he trades away May here, who I was crapping on. May is like, we got to make a video of this. May is like truly the most overpriced player in probably the entire market because he actually goes like I've seen him multiple times take an early second.
He's CJ Stroud.
He's like
CJ Stroud.
He's not as bad as he's a better buy than CJ Stroud was last year, but he's like the CJ Stroud candidate.
Yeah.
You just do not want to be picking a player that you have not seen produce to that level at that high. And so I'm probably going to like this deal, what you got for him, is what I'll say, because I'm seeing Audric Estime and Quentin Johnston on this side too. So, like, this is like the ultimate trade. This is what I'm looking to do 100%. You know, get rid of those guys. So, what we got? We got 2 firsts, a second, 2 thirds. So, break it down. You get 2 firsts for May, basically. Like, I'll put it at that for now. And then you get
26 and 27.
I'm going to say you got 2 firsts and a second for May, I'll say, and I'll just call it. You gave you got a third for 310 and Estime, and you got a third for QJ. That's how I want to look at that deal. Like I just don't care about QJ at all and Estime, like at all. Although Estime technically, I think, is actually a starting running back right now. Won't last for long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows? I mean, like, on paper, Estime could be like that Kyron Williams candidate that you don't expect.
I really liked him.
Right off.
Dan knows I really liked him. I'll say that. He had some fumbling issues.
I agree.
The visor, like Joey was saying, he's got the visor head coach. He's going to be the... I don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the Broncos are going to draft a running back. So at best, Estime is going to be like the backup there or whatever. So
Jaleel still there.
Estime definitely feels like a roster clogger. Quentin Johnston certainly feels like a roster clogger. So love cashing out on those guys. And I love getting 2 firsts and a second for May. Nice that you got the 27 first. Like, those aren't easy to get. Like, people are like valuing them like more than 6 firsts a lot of times.
And they don't want to pay for like the 27, which is the big part too. Oh.
Pay 2 years
and
out.
I was thinking I think you kind of froze up, at least for me. You froze up. Yeah.
Froze over your back now.
I think that some. Like they're not worth as much, and so there's an argument to be made that you could have done better. But I personally think that you might have a hard time getting this much for May right now.
Yeah.
It was the right deal for this owner in particular. He really wanted May, and these were the only picks he had. So, like, these were the only picks left. Like, I had made like 3 deals with him, and this was like all he had left. And so So it felt like the right thing to do.
I gotta look at his team.
You cleaned him out here. And by the way, this is Nishila from the NFL Madness League that folded recently. So it's been fun having him in this take over the other orphan we had in here. And yeah, Joey and Nishila definitely brought a lot of life to this league, which has been amazing.
He got the lamb. Me and him did the lamb deal.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what? I did a deal with Nashville in that 16-man. I ended up trading him like Samir White and Michael Wilson. It was a 16-team league, but like I got his 26 first, and then the league ended up being like deleted. It was a weird thing, like folded. But like so, like I kind of did the same thing with him, where like I got his future picks. I gave up players like whatever roster cloggers. Completely different context. But you know what I love about this deal? Like, this is what I value so much in these deals, when you just take the players aside and just like don't really care about like, oh, May could be the next Allen. You just remove that. How are you going to lose this deal as a rebuilder?
Yeah.
If Drake May turns into Josh Allen, like, okay, now there's a chance where like, okay, you that's like literally the 100th percentile outcome. What if he's hits and he's 70%, whatever? That's more realistic, much more realistic. If that's the truth, maybe this is a fair deal. But here's the thing too, because these are future firsts, what's to say this isn't going to be like the 103 next year and like the 101 in 2027? That's like my favorite thing, as we were talking about earlier. I just looked at his team. He's got this is the most underrated part. You just took every single buying power piece from him. So now if he runs into injuries, he just either has to cannibalize his team and like down tiering from injured guys and selling low, or he's just he's pretty much toast for the season. You collect up to the 101 because it's happened. It always happens. So I love this deal from you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hidden upside, and just like you just never know how early or mid those fills could be. It could end up being a lot better than you think right now. And like Nishila, like he's not going to have much buying power left after trading all his firsts away. So I think that's pretty sneaky.
Yeah, that's like
I was happy about the second.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey man, that could be the 201. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm in your shoes, and in 2027, like
imagine that the 101 and the 201. I mean, I just
that'd be game changing.
Yep.
That'd be like getting that first and second turns into like, I mean, I won't even start with the Jeremiah Smith stuff, but like, if he's the 101 or Arch Manning or something's coming out of there, let's just pretend that might turn a first and a second into like, all of a sudden now you're getting like basically 4 firsts out of that, because you could trade that 101 for 3 firsts and the 201 for basically a first. So it's like that those are the kind of deals like as a rebuilder, like I love those.
When I'm like stuck on a trade, or negotiations go sour, or it starts raining outside or whatever, I go to this league and I look at my future picks.
Oh yeah. I've been there, man.
First, I see like 3 firsts and 2
you just stare
firsts.
at them. You just stare at them. Like,
life is good. Life will be good.
Dude, my whole first year of Dynasty, I was just sitting on. I had like one contending team, was a first round exit, and even on that team, I had a bunch of extra firsts, and I was just sitting there like, right, oh baby, I'm gonna have a good off season, and it sure was. So. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than just like having, and the best part is like not everyone can make playoffs. Injuries happen. Those first like trade for them as they're late, and then they become early. Like, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
So, and then okay, here we go. We get into the flipping Knicks. Did you ever end up getting a deal for them, or you still got them?
Nope, I still got him.
Yeah.
I still got him.
Yeah. The best part is like, even though I'm talking about Knicks, and I'm sure you're just happy to have him, you're ready to roll. You're ready to go. He's in and out the door, and now you got like you got 527 first. Next thing you know.
Yep.
That was the other thing I loved about the May deal, is that you had just traded for Penix as like your third quarterback that you didn't really need, but then you dump May, cash out for like 2 firsts and a second. So now you're back to like having like just 2 quarterbacks, which is probably ideal in most cases. And then you got all these picks now, and like That's so perfect. So like that's why you take advantage of like the value for Penix even when you didn't need them. So I loved how you know that worked out for you.
I didn't even put those together. Like that, that makes me like that deal even more.
Yeah.
Those two deals can basically turn around your entire team. Because you just could, see like, oh yeah, I don't care. I'm a rebuilding team. I'll take a third quarterback, whatever. I'll just go sell May. He's extremely high. Like I love that.
Right.
That's
Just because I got busy, like because I was bored.
yeah,
That's it. Yep.
yeah. No, that like those are phenomenal. Yeah, basically, I'm looking at these. I guess you made a lot of deals with Dan, which helps because Dan's always like pretty fair about things and is easy to deal with. Like Dan, this it's been like 10 deals a day or something. Not actually, but it feels like it, especially because of you now and Randy Duncan and all these guys.
Yeah, it's only gotten worse.
But yeah, it's a good trade partner. Like those are some good deals.
I certainly think like the deals Joey and I made were truly win-win deals. So like those are just my favorite because like I'm glad to be helping Joey's team and I'm glad to like improving my chances of winning the championship. So I just love deals where both sides benefit, and especially when you do it with a friend, like it's even that much more fun.
Yeah. Now, did you do that deal for Knicks with Randy Duncan? Because he's saying he'll give you Jordan Love and AD for Knicks.
Yeah. Yeah, he messed with me. He sent the same thing back, and then I was like, but in reality, I was like confused.
Yeah.
I was like, isn't that the deal we just did?
Utterly.
And he was like, he sent me a message, and he was like, "Do you smoke weed?"
Well, was this like, did he send that in like the other league you guys are in, or what is it? Or you guys?
No, same league. Yeah, he was just
Okay.
joking with me. He sent the same deal back to me that we had just done.
Why did he do that?
I don't know, like just as a joke, I think.
Okay.
Or was he trying to like make you think that like you hadn't done the deal yet and that you were beginning like the Knicks side? Or, I don't know. That's weird.
Well, he's in the chat,
It
so
was so confusing. Yeah.
maybe you'll answer. I thought what happened is like he was in the other league and he saw you do that deal and he's like,
He might have done that actually. It might have been in the other league because we are in 2 leagues together. I don't know.
It could be that.
No, because we don't have those same players in the other league.
Okay.
It's in the same league. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Oh, he's in the chat, so maybe
Let us know, Randy. Also, we have a Michael Arrington in the chat. I don't recognize that name.
I think I know who. I think he's from like Trent and I, like Trent from a couple or from at least A League. He's convinced me to do a startup. Issue is like I have to make it because like you're not gonna find a $200 startup. It's just hard to find, and then like get the settings right, and it's just like I might as well just make it myself. So I've been like trying to fill that up. And I think it's like it might actually be full right now, but we're trying to get it going ASAP, potentially before the draft here, which would be sick. So he said he can't wait for the draft. I gotta assume, Mikhail, you can confirm because I sent the link in there that he's from what did I name that one? Waste Management Dynasty, and it's Sopranos themed. So.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, welcome, Mikhail. If so. Confirm if you're still in the chat there. I believe you are from that league there, and I am absolutely pumped to do another startup. If so,
Randy says it's because he put Knicks on the block. LOL. So I was like, just traded for him.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. That makes sense.
That was another one where I had a baby in my hand, and I was just like responding with a chat, like, "Yeah, sure, always down to trade." And then he just hit me up with the funniest message. In fact, I had my wife reading that message to me. And I'm like, what did he say? And she's like, "Are you high?"
That's my favorite thing. Like, you see people, they trade for a player, like you did here. You put Knicks up. And then, especially if they're like a contender, though, because it makes sense because like you're rebuilding and stuff. But it's hilarious when someone just like, they just trade for a player and it's like, boom, like I'm trying to get rid of them. I mean, I've done it plenty of times too.
Yeah, no, man. I love Knicks. I'm totally good with Knicks. But if someone wants to give me a great value on picks, I have to say yes because of the position I'm in. Yep.
Oh yeah, I think that's why like you're like just really wise when it comes to Dynasty, Joey, is that like you're so flexible, you're so open to things. Like you're not just like one of these like rigid managers that's like, no, I'm not trading Knicks for anything. Like, no, like there's always a price on any player. I mean, that's why I say like, you know, a lot of times like a manager will message me and they're like, oh, is Hurts available? Is Knicks available? I'm like, any player's available if you're offering me, if what you're offering me is I like more than what I'm giving away, or it works for both sides or whatever. So like, you know, everyone's on the table. Like I'm never stubborn and say that someone's untradeable. So like I love that like you see things that way as well.
I've become a little bit guilty because like those top receivers, like it'll change maybe in a year or two, but like they're still so young. That there's a few players where they're still on the table, but I gotta get blown away. Kind of like we were talking about the CD Lamb thing before. By the way, in the chat, Mikkel, if I'm pronouncing that right, says he's a first-time viewer, not from the league. I just thought so because he had a Broncos logo, just like someone else there. Okay. And mentioned the draft. He said he just came here randomly to talk about hear about football. So welcome, Mikkel. Yeah. And funny story, Joey here, like I don't know, like a month ago, did the exact same thing you did, and now he's like here on the stream with us, and he's been in a bunch of league. So
right,
with Dan,
which is a great time to mention the listener league. So like it's basically just a league we're doing of like people that watch the channel. So if you're interested in that, Mikkel, definitely let us know. You can always send me a DM on Sleeper. I am at DanFortune500. So if you have any interest in that, send me a DM. But yeah, in any case, great to have you on the channel. Like we love when we have just like random people here like discovering us. We're not a big channel or anything, but we like to have a lot of fun here, talk football and Dynasty. So yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, that's the best part. Just like Joey, one day I remember he came in, and I think you made a trade. You were asking about a league, and we were looking at kind of some ADP or whatever, like some stuff in our startup going on. And I think you made a deal with like something we suggested, right? CMC.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, the CMC deal. Yeah, you traded like Worthy and
Yes, and that was for. Wait a minute. I moved.
It was one of your quarterbacks.
I think you got like the 102. You got the 102 and like CMC, and you traded away like Worthy and something else.
And a quarterback or something, right?
Penix,
yeah.
Penix and Worthy. Yeah. And I have to say this: I think you have to be a Dynasty sicko for this podcast to come up in your.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
We'll be watching a lot of Dynasty content.
Dude, there must be some sickos because it's saying there's like 16 people all of a sudden in here, and Mikkel is joining in as Joey has said, and at the beginning of the
you're in the right place. Brother.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I was gonna say if you're a sicko, like you found my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, like you are in good company here.
Oh, dude, 100%. You can rewind later to the start of the podcast. Joey was kind of explaining some stuff from his perspective on the channel, and I think he summed it up pretty good. And what are we? We got to be like 2 hours in here.
Way too long, but this has been awesome.
Yeah, and then Michael. Mike Hell. No, it's Mike Hell. He's getting the pronunciation going. I love it.
Oh, okay.
He said he's never played in a league before. Did we? Okay, well, that's crazy that you've never played in a league before, and we popped up like in your feed first of all. Yeah. So love that. I wonder if have you played in the fantasy football league or just like you haven't played fantasy or you haven't played Dynasty. If you haven't, you probably don't even know what the difference is. Let us know. And if you want to play in a Dynasty League, as we mentioned, there's the Listener League. You can send us a message or whatever. Just basically, I don't know, just get in contact with us somehow, and we can set it up, and we can get you in your first Dynasty League if that interests you.
Yeah.
I will say this. If Michael has played in redraft leagues, I wanted to say this point too. Like for me, I just speaking for myself, the difference between redraft and Dynasty for me, this Dynasty has ruined redraft for me. I don't even care about redraft. I don't want to play redraft anymore because for me it's like rolling dice versus sitting down and playing the World Series of Texas Hold'em. To me, that's the difference. There's so much more skill
Oh yeah.
and then therefore there's so much more fun involved. And
Yeah.
but I want to like, and now I'm going on a whole thing. Sorry, fellas, but like
Feel free. I love it.
I want to frame it within the context of I do think that in terms of skill, okay, it's still a lot of luck, right? There's a lot of variables,
Yeah.
but it's like the difference between like in Hold'em in professional poker, there's a couple books I read on it, and they say that like the percentage of skill that separates a professional poker from an amateur
Yeah.
is something like 4 to 5%.
Oh wow.
The
That's
rest
it.
of it's luck. Yeah, four to
Wow.
five
Wow.
percent. But if you play enough hours of poker, 4 to 5% with enough money on the line, that equates to millions of dollars over 10 years. So like
Yeah.
I kind of look at that and I apply it to Dynasty. So
Yeah.
like when you equate 4 to 5%, let's say that's the margin. It's not, but whatever, I'm making it up for the sake of argument.
Right.
4 to 5% in 20 Dynasty leagues for 10 years,
Oh yeah.
over hundreds
Interesting.
of trades,
I like it.
it
Yeah, yeah.
adds up.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
could be
Hey,
trades
that's
and your performance in the league. It could be a couple different
Yeah.
factors kind of compounding. And I think that's really well said because that's exactly, you basically just said my exact thoughts on like redraft versus dynasty. Redraft's just like just a dice roll. Dynasty's still a dice roll, but like there's so many more factors in, and like you're bound to not get so lucky from one year to another to another over a long period of time. People that are not, whatever, skillful, their teams will end up dying out, and they'll have a tough time getting back into contention, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it really is like chess versus checkers. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of different analogies you could use, and actually, I've been playing some chess recently, so I kind of got that on the mind. But yeah, there's just so much more strategic, and you definitely have a lot more control over the outcome. And yeah, that's really interesting about that, like 4 to 5%. I mean, I feel like that's even more justification for like grinding those waivers and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
finding that
Find the
sleeper.
puka.
Like, I love it. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, and Michael said he's never played either fantasy or dynasty.
Oh wow.
And he said, and Randy's talking him in, of course. Hey, give it a shot. Michael is saying back, maybe he'll give it a try one day. And actually, we did talk some prospects. Now we don't have a mock draft, which is what you searched, but we were talking prospects earlier. If you want to skip through later or something like that, Hampton, Henderson, Hunter, and stuff like that earlier. But like, well, if you're interested at all in just like hearing random Dynasty stuff, by the way, that's how I got into Dynasty. I didn't even play Dynasty, and I was just started watching Dynasty content for like a pretty long time, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to roll. Like,
Yeah.
I'm already like an experienced player. It felt like, you might hit the same, do the same whatever entrance to Dynasty as me, even though you never played before. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Seeing you in here is all.
It's definitely more fun, I think, to play fantasy sports and fantasy football with people that you know, or at least people that you can chat with.
Right.
That's kind of what makes it fun, I think.
Yeah, and
Oh,
we
for
had that.
sure.
We had
I
that
kind of
great
feel
talk at the beginning about like, if you want to be sold on fantasy, again,
Yeah.
go back to like right at the beginning. We're
Yeah.
especially Joey is talking about like bringing the family together, and like
Oh yeah.
same thing. My
Yeah.
friend group like got the homely. Like fantasy is a great way to like keep in contact with people and like get new friends, all that stuff.
Totally. Yeah, and I kind of, it does feel like we're kind of building a bit of a community here, which I think is like so amazing. Of like we have all these like regular kind of regulars now that are like watch all the streams and everything like that, even with the small audience. But and a lot of them are just like people from our leagues or whatever. But it kind of seems like we're all getting to know each other, and of course like having like a bunch of them on as like guests. Like we have Joey here, like that's been so much fun. So I definitely kind of love like just kind of this like fun sense of community that we're building, and I can't wait to see how the listener league turns out because we're kind of like bringing all those people together. So I definitely have some high hopes for like how much fun that league could be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I cannot wait.
No, absolutely. Well, yeah, that's why we mentioned it. If you're interested, Michael, and also if by the way, I wanted to ask if there's a running back, if he's got any running back takes over the Broncos, if you could choose a running back from the draft, if you're still here, what running back is that? Because I think Henderson would be like the perfect fit for that system. receiving backfield or that Peyton backfield. Joey, you disagree?
I disagree. Yeah, for me, it's Quinshon Judkins.
Okay.
Even though it doesn't fit system wise necessarily, I just think it just echoes back to that big bruiser they used to have in Denver. It's been a while. Like, gosh.
Terrell Davis or
Head coaches, for some fantasy purposes. But, hey, Mike Kell says he does want Travion Henderson. Here's a question for you. Travion Henderson or Marion Hampton, because we were talking about that earlier. If you got an opinion on that, which one are you taking? I think Henderson would be a lot better fit for NFL purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like Henderson would fit Denver pretty well.
Yeah, and he's a very good pass blocker, which Randy Duncan mentions, which I think is one of the most underrated things about fantasy purposes is you want to be out there on all 3 downs, whether you're blocking or not. That's how you score points. And Randy also says he's got to go. See ya. So
thanks for joining us, Randy.
Appreciate you for tuning in, Randy.
Yeah, give me Henderson in Denver. Somebody to block for Knicks. He's like the best blocking running back in the league, supposedly. So it just makes a lot of sense.
We got to keep Knicks upright. We each got it there now.
Yeah.
Whatever helps Knicks the most.
And leave Hampton to the Chargers or the Bears or something.
Hampton and the Chargers would just make a ton of sense. I would like that.
Yeah. I cannot wait to see where these backs go because, first off, all these players, but then there's the whole Travis Hunter thing. Is he gonna be receiver corner? But there's just so many teams that need a running back, and not just a starting running back, but backup running backs, and there's just so many of them. I might be glued to my phone and the TV, just we'll see for streaming because there might be Dan, you got an issue with you won't be available for.
Yeah, my brother and sister, we scheduled a siblings weekend, and we didn't realize it was the same weekend as the draft. So something I'm really looking forward to, but the timing was better.
So I'll be solo, but I think I might still stream, and maybe we'll get some different guests on for different periods. So also if you're interested, Joey.
Joey can fill in for me maybe
That's
one
right.
of the nights if you're interested.
Sure,
I know you probably got a million commitments with your family and everything, but in any case, we definitely would love to get you back on a streaming sometime because this has been awesome.
Yeah.
This is a blast. Yeah, I've loved it. Yeah, the draft is always my it's always around my birthday, which is great. And this is the first year that I've had a real reason to watch the draft.
Oh yeah.
So this I specifically requested that it be a big thing in my house this year, a party, just with us, no guests.
Right.
But I was thinking I don't know what you guys think of this. Have you ever done anything with a dynasty startup coinciding with the draft, close to the draft?
Well, wait. Oh, Dynasty Startup.
Yes, a startup like the Listener League or something like that. Close to the draft.
I think I have a couple years ago, but I thought you were saying rookie draft because in our Grease Bowl league, we did the rookie draft.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant rookie draft.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
You can check it out last year because it was pretty fun. We streamed it. It's our most viewed stream. And basically I hosted the whole rookie draft and we had everyone in Zoom, all 12 people at different times. And they were negotiating live on there. I had the
that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
And production value is pretty low, we were just starting. But it was a lot of fun and there was some crazy deals, some crazy picks cuz we did it as it started in the 7th round with cuz it doesn't matter for fantasy. It was just ending. It wasn't even over yet. So that was a fun time and we're running it back again this year. I think the next afternoon or something though.
That sounds like so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, we might even bring it to another league, the league that Blake and I just did the startup in several weeks back. It's called the Break Room, and
we're trying to get it
right now to see if people want to do it for that league as well. But yeah, it was a ton of fun.
And it's you get 5 minutes to draft, but if you're negotiating, I'd extend it. It was a lot of fun, and ton of people watched it, which was sweet. And just bump in here real quick. Mike Kelly says we were lagging. I forgot to read one of his comments. He said, "Did we answer who our favorite team is?" I'm a Vikings fan. Trying to get some purple back there, by the way.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm a
damn.
Lions fan.
I'm a Seahawks fan.
Okay. You said that earlier, and I completely missed the Seahawks fan part. No, I didn't, because you were talking about Kubiak.
Yeah.
You were talking about Kubiak.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of Seahawks fans. It seems like watching. I don't know. We're reaching Seattle or something.
Yeah, I don't have a cool nickname though, unlike Hawkeyes. So
that's right. That's right. And yeah, what we're saying.
Like maybe for the listener league, like I mean, that might even be something fun to do in there. Like it'd be fun to like have like all the people that regularly watch our streams, like all on a Zoom call doing a rookie draft. Like that'd be a blast.
Oh, dude, yeah, I would do that in every draft if I could. It can be kind of hard. Like luckily, like Reese Bowl, everyone like seemed to really like it. They want to run it back, right. But like, I mean, I don't want to tempt you too much, Joey. But we do, maybe if you want a co-manager or something, someone would join you because like this is a 200, and like I know that could turn some people off. But like I'm co-managing with a buddy, so it's just like it's like $100 league. Now, I don't have no idea if we're going to do that in there or not. It's probably likely that we don't. But,
okay.
There would be potentially some stuff with the channel on here. It sounds like we might do the startup, like, tomorrow, though. Or right after the draft. NFL draft. We're unsure yet. I want to get it started, like, ASAP and finish it right before the NFL draft.
Nice. So how many owners are in it right now?
Let's see.
Currently.
We have 8 right now. 8 of 12.
8? And it's going to be a 12-team league?
It'll be a 12-team league, yeah.
And by the way, speaking of joining leagues, like I really want to get Joey into Blood, Sweat, and Beers if those 2 managers that haven't paid, like don't pay that by the deadline, which is just a few days away from now. So something to keep in mind as well. But like that's the league that Blake and I met in. Yeah. So yeah, like I think I mentioned it to you a while back, Joey, but it's looking more and more likely like there could be a spot there if you're interested.
Yeah,
I'm definitely interested in those like lower stakes leagues for sure. Those are just like perfect for me. Absolutely. Okay. I'm looking to get out of like my more expensive redraft leagues.
Okay,
which is sweet because then I can be in more of these lower stakes dynasty leagues, and I'm just loving it. So.
Yeah. This is 100 buy. I don't know if someone is out. Did someone pay, but like they're not active?
Well, take it easy. Like he said, he'll pay by the rookie draft. I trust him. The ones I'm concerned about are Holly Dog and Fresh Cash.
Yeah.
They're not even responding to messages, so like that's not looking good.
Yeah, one of them's got the 101 too. So
yeah.
No, not too bad, but yeah, that would be fun.
No, I mean, we could even do if both those managers are gone, we could even end up doing a dispersal draft, which is always fun. So yeah, but I'll keep you posted that, Joey. Yeah. But I think we set a deadline of 2 weeks before the draft. So wait, what is it right now? Let's see here.
It's 10 days before the draft right now. Got the countdown.
Oh, wait, I meant the rookie draft, which takes place a week after the NFL draft. So basically, I think I set the deadline as like the 18th, I want to say. So yeah, they got like 3 more days to pay. So yeah, it's looking like there could be a spot there. So I'll keep you posted on that, Joey.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Yeah.
How many owners do we have in the listener league so far?
I'll pull that up. So some of the managers might be co-managing, so we're kind of flexible on that. But we have here we go.
And we
have 5 people committed to the listener league right now. Actually 6, including Blake and I.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's me, Blake, you, Joey, Hawkeyes, Joshy, and Jacob.
Okay,
nice.
And also, for anyone new in here watching, I see we got 10 in here right now. Yeah, a good time to bring it up again. We got a listener league, so if you're interested in joining a dynasty league, we'll probably cover it on this channel. It'll be a lot of fun. Probably do some fun, whatever. Like if we can do the live draft thing, like we definitely will, because that's a ton of fun. You know, try to make it like one of the more fun leagues, you know, people are in. Even if it's like lower stakes or whatever it is, you know, we want to make sure it's still whatever, you know, fun. So, you know, hit us up or message in the chat if you're interested. I got a trade offer live here on the stream, by the way. We've been rolling.
Nice.
It's like, you know, funny enough, I was like trying to find a league for Trent and and I'm in a league with this guy. Like recently, he took over an orphan. And then he was like in that league because it's, you know, small world. Like, that's happened a couple times. And so I didn't end up playing that league because it just didn't like fit the criteria I was looking for. But you know, this guy's a good guy, makes a lot of trades, and yeah, I don't think he knows about the channel, but it's like he's been looking at it. You know, he's
Calvin, trying to get Calvin Ridley from you. Although if he was watching the channel, he would know that you have zero interest in this deal.
Exactly. That's right. He would know not to send it to me.
Exactly.
I did make a couple deals with him, but
or at least he would try to throw in like a late pick on top of Quentin Johnson or something like that. Try to entice you.
Hey, smart offer by him. Can't you know, fault him. I'll have to see if there's like a counter. Though in this league, like Ridley's kind of like my last flex guy. I probably am happy to roll with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll decline it for now.
Yeah. By the way, I also got a message just a few minutes ago from Sebastian in the break room. I don't know if Sebastian is watching right now, but he's asking if I'm interested in Joe Burrow. So that's kind of interesting. Might have to have a little conversation there.
Yeah, we were saying, like, how long is it till Joe Burrow's on the block?
The trade block, yeah. So I guess we were onto something there.
I said by the rookie draft, and hey, here we are.
All right, yeah. So you'll cash on that bet there. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised because he's a Bengals fan. So like, I don't know, he must really be wanting to just kind of like.
I think he's seeing what's out there.
Yeah, I think he's seeing what we're seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's seeing what's out there. Probably like he's probably not gonna force it. But yeah, he's funny because he's a Packers Cincy fan. I think he's mainly a Packers fan, but. I know he likes the Cincy as well. And
oh, that's right. Yeah, the Bengals are sort of his second team. I think he said he has like an uncle that is like into the Bengals, and I believe he lives in Ohio.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah.
For context, Joey, this guy he's brand new to Dynasty. Joined a startup, and he's been like all over the place, like deals every day. Like some of them awful, some of them good, and like we've been trying to help him when he's asking. You know, teams like I'll show the team. It's you know. It's in a decent spot for contending. He paid like an arm and a leg for like Jamar Chase to go up to him to get the stack, but like the joke is like how long till he gets Burrow like on the block, and now that's like Burrow's on the block. So,
but hey, like he's learning. Like Sebastian's a really cool guy. Like love having him in this league, and like he'll figure it out for sure. But yeah, might have to have a little negotiation there over Burrow. Like I mean. I'm not sure if I'm dying to like pay up for him, but like, you know, if we could come to some kind of win-win situation, I'd certainly be open to it.
Yeah, Burrow's a hard guy to deal because he's so good, but the issue is like he doesn't have the legs. So luckily he did come off the year.
The one thing I'll say about it too is that like having been crazy about redraft for so many years, this is one of those hobbies that just like. It doesn't flame out either. I don't know what it is, but it's like, you know how like you pick something up as a guy, like a hobby, like, I don't know, RC cars or something, or, you know, and it just like you get into it and then it just like flames out and you're like, it's in the garage and I don't touch it. Dynasty's not, or fantasy football is like not one of those hobbies. Like it just stays with you forever.
Oh yeah, like once you get into it, like it's just like it's in you. Like it's hard to ever get away from it. It's very addictive.
Oh yeah, and dude, Dynasty, like that's the best part. Is okay, you're in like redraft kind of in the Dynasty season during the NFL season, you know, but it's still Dynasty and it's like, you know, a lot of fun. But then once the season's over, it's like okay, combine. NFL draft, training camp, like it's okay, and then now you're ready for the season roll around. It's just like this cycle where it just never ends, and you know,
never ends.
On a rainy day,
that's the best part.
A rainy day in June, you're just like looking at your phone, you're cooking up some trades, whatever it is. Like it's you know, it's a gift that keeps on giving for entertainment at least.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, the football season never has to end. I mean, that's the beauty of Dynasty.
I'd actually like say for anyone that's like gambling, on like whatever, like paying to do like money lines and stuff like that, I would just like not do that, and I would just play fantasy because you'll get, well, if you're playing, you're doing that 4 to 5% edge, you'll make more money easily. You won't lose it all on fantasy. You might actually like make a little bit though. That's not why I play Dynasty, and why a lot of us don't play to make money. You might make money. But like your investment of like whatever it is, 2,500, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it lasts you the whole year in Dynasty. Literally 365 days it lasts you. Where instead of like a 3-hour game. You know what I mean? So like I feel like
paying for the entertainment all day long.
And that's why you like bet on games. Like a lot of people bet on an NFL game, but like you might as well just go do it in Dynasty football or at least fantasy. Because you get like whatever 4 to 12 months out of it. It much better return and entertainment value for your money.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so we should probably wrap this up like sooner than later. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here?
Oh man, yeah, we just hit 3 hours live. It's been a blast. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty more we can cover, but.
Oh, yeah, we could talk all night. Like, we already know that. But, Joey, like, such a pleasure having you on here. Like, this was so much fun. We got to get you back on a stream sometime. And, yeah, it's been so much fun, like, having you in these leagues. And I hope we haven't run out of trades to make. But, I'm sure we'll come up with some more during the rookie draft. And, yeah, it's just been so much fun, like, you going from, like, just a random person that discovered a live stream of ours, and like now you're in leagues, and we're excited to get you in the listener league, so maybe even blood, sweat, and beers that we mentioned. So yeah, it's just been so much fun having you kind of part of this community that we got here, and yeah, definitely looking forward to making more deals and getting you on another stream in the future, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's been great to meet you both, and nothing but great things to say. Like I'm just really excited to have met you guys, and this was a lot of fun. Can't wait to do it again. Can't wait for that startup to happen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Feelings mutual, my friend. And yeah, like I'm so excited about doing another startup because I actually haven't done a ton because like my thing is just like I just always seem to end up like taking over orphans, and like I don't know. Maybe you could probably relate because that's what you've been doing lately.
Yeah.
I do kind of enjoy the challenge of that, or in some cases, I have been fortunate enough to take over a few good rosters. But yeah, I'm still kind of perfecting my craft as it comes to startup drafts. So yeah, really excited for that one in the listener league. Again, if anyone out there is interested, message me on Sleeper at DanFortune500. And yeah, thanks just everyone for joining us. Like, I mean, it was so great, like seeing like how many people were watching the stream. Like
tons of
people. I think you saw like up to like 16 people at one point. Like that's crazy. Like we've never seen a number like that. So thanks for everyone for watching, for hitting the like and subscribing. We got a new subscriber today as well. So really appreciate all the support. And yeah, I think that probably wraps us up. So yeah, have a great night, everyone. We will see you on the next stream.
Yeah, and real quick, thanks everyone for watching. A bunch of new viewers in here. And yeah, good to meet you, Joey. And yeah, hey man, like Hawkeye said before he took it back about the Lamb trade, if that's the worst trade you've made, you've been doing pretty well though.
Oh yeah.
So I was very impressed with like a lot of those deals you made. And yeah, we'll get a group chat rolling so I can, I don't even think I have you on Sleeper or anything, so we'll do that. But yeah, dude, it was a pleasure having you on.
Absolutely.
Sweet. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. Yeah.
Our pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you're a Dynasty sicko, you're in the right spot. So hit the sub button and
that's
it. That's it for tonight.